Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to the Spoilers of the Damned podcast, episode number 46. Today we will be talking about the Japanese horror film Pulse, aka Kairo. But first we will be talking about things that aren't that for at least 45 minutes. So
strap yourself in.
Yes. And, well, I'm just going to kick us right off because I'm still angry. I finished this game a week and a half ago and I'm still wicked pissed. I've been playing The Evil Within. Oh boy. I've been playing The Evil Within and it's a frustrating game. I mean, I can see why it divided opinion so much back in, I guess it was 2014 it came out.
Yeah, Jesus.
Shinji Mikami, a.k.a. grandfather of horror, behind the original Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4.
Yep.
It's such a frustrating game because I wanted to like it so much. I mean, I like things about it. I like the story, as much of the story as we get. I like the theme, and I like a lot of the presentation. Sort of the art style, for one, is really interesting.
Yeah.
I even have a favorite boss. There's this one boss that's like this evil giant spider lady who like spawns out of bodies, and you have to set her on fire. It was like,
she's great.
It's really good. Of course, there are plenty of other bosses who like will just infinitely spawn, and the game doesn't tell you that. You've got to kind of work out that they will just keep coming and keep coming. But those are like minor things on the list compared to the fact that like, how many streams did I do of that game? It was either 4 or 5, and I played about 4-5 hours each time, so 20 hours of my life. And I was sat there with all of these plot elements, and I just wanted to see how they came together. I was like, okay, we've got Psychic Stabby Man. He's super powerful. The fact that he's super powerful probably means that we're inside someone's brain or someone's kind of like groupthink reality or something. And they keep hinting it's like, oh, you've got to do like brain surgery on these brains and like pinpoint the right. And it's like, and then you find out his backstory and that he was like some kid who like had an unfortunate accident in a barn with some villagers who set them on fire. And like, you get all of this stuff and you're like, how does this fit together? And then the game ends and it was all a dream.
Yeah. Yeah, I hated that.
I've got a mind to go back and clip the end of the stream because as a highlight, because I think you were there, Axton, actually, but I lost my shit.
Mm-hmm.
I was so angry because I especially the last kind of like chunk of the game, you get dragged through a lot of repetitive kind of like combat and or sneak sections.
Jesus
you have
Christ,
that whole chapter that is just on rails. You're on a bus and you've got to shoot the giant spider thing, crab, whatever, fuck.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I get it. We're moving towards this hospital in the center, the beacon. It's called the beacon because we keep going towards it. I get it. But we've been going towards that beacon since the start of the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
And all we've had are little tidbits along the way, kind of like breadcrumbs, and you're like, oh, I wonder how this fits together. And like, it fits together pretty much how you work out it fits together. But that's it. And nothing else happens.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wet fart.
Because I mean,
I think,
didn't you play it lost a lot closer to when it originally came out?
Yeah, and I hated it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
fairly so. Fairly so, honestly, because I watched it when it came out. I didn't play it. I watched it. I watched MK Ice and Fire finish it or something like that, because they always do no audio, no commentary playthroughs. And I'm like, okay, I just wanted to get the experience. I don't have the money to buy it.
Yeah.
I don't really care to own it. So, it'd be more a sacrifice, not worth it. And I'm like, you get to the end and it's like, credits. Could be something after the credits.
Yeah.
No, that was it. So I was like, okay. So you look back on it, it's like none of that shit mattered. Like it's like nothing actually happened.
Yeah.
Sort of. You go to
Buy
this
the
place
DLC.
where something already happened, and then you play to the end of the game, and nothing changed from that moment, and you just leave the hospital.
And there's kind of like a glitchy kind of like you see. I think the patient's name was Leslie. You see Leslie for a split second at the end, and you're kind of like, oh, is this like, are we in brain machines upon brain machines? Is this all just like a... Because you wake up so many times out of a bathtub at the end of that game, like 3 or 4 times. You're like, is this the real time?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just...
it goes full Inception. And do you want to know anything else about Leslie? Because I forgot he was the main antagonist. Because
Is Leslie the antagonist?
Is Leslie the antagonist? I can't remember. Who's the antagonist? Is it Ruvik?
If you're talking about psychic stabbing man, it's
Ruvik is the big bad.
Oh, Ruvik.
I'm not sure.
Ruvik is...
I'm not sure what Leslie was there for.
Right, Leslie was just there. Leslie was the MacGuffin, basically. We have to save Leslie, and then you're like, why? And there's no answer to that.
Yeah, and it's all disappointing, and because the problem I have with the game as well is not only is it just kind of I think when you start doing all dreams upon dreams, and it gets a bit inception-y, I felt like that it wasn't particularly scary. Nothing about it scared me. It's like, oh, none of this is real. It's just a nightmare. And it wasn't even like the extent of like a Freddy Krueger thing. It was like, because obviously in Nightmare on Elm Street before the third film, like the only person at risk here was you. Like he was not at risk, and that's what's scary. So he can harm you, but you can't do shit against him unless like the end of the first movie and stuff. But yeah, that's what's scary about it. But and also the game is so at loggerheads with itself. So it's like a stealth survival horror game, but we're an action horror game as well. So there's like so many moments where it's like I have no ammo, but you want me to do like this big action set piece, but I've got a brick.
No bricks, only bottles.
Only bottles.
Bottles.
That's just another point against it.
Yeah, it's like I'm still thinking of Last of Us, but it's just like but you want me to? You either want it to be a survival horror game, or you want it to be an action horror game. It cannot be both.
And it tries to
be both.
And the problem is it has some really there are some really genius moments in there, and that's kind of why I was so annoyed, because I could see greatness. Like for instance, there's this one character that, throughout the game, you increasingly keep returning to this hospital. It's basically a hub where you can save, you can level up your character with brain goo, and all that good stuff. And there's a nurse there who is very strange, says weird things, acts strangely, and you keep returning back to her over and over again. She says really interesting things, and you're like, who is this character and why are they here? And then you have this really cool moment, because there's a notice board in that area, and there's posters keep appearing for missing people, and you see it one time and it's her, and then you turn around and she's not there anymore, and she doesn't come back for the rest of the game, and you're like, wow, that's really cool, but why was she here, and why is she now not here?
It's like, was it something that he saw and he subconsciously put her down? What it's like, woo, spooky. Why is it spooky? We don't know. We don't have a reason.
It reminded me of something you were saying on the last cast. I was expecting Sebastian to be the bad man. I was expecting to be told, "Oh, Sebastian was the bad man." At one point, we'd just been told that these villagers set their barn on fire, right? And I thought for a mad second, because all of the in that flashback, they're all wearing old clothes. And old-timey clothes, and Sebastian is always wearing kind of old-timey clothes. I thought for 1 second, I was like, oh my god, he's not really a policeman, he's one of these villagers, and this is he's being punished or something, because the tiny fragments of plot you've been given could easily fit together that way or any other way, and the problem is there isn't a framework for those bits. It's really frustrating.
It's so just completely all over the place, and not only is the gameplay logheads with itself, but I felt like the atmosphere and the tone was completely all over the place as well. It's it is you cannot it goes from, and I get it's supposed to be really dreamlike, but the problem with it is that it doesn't even do the dreamlike in a cool dreamlike sense. You know how we've said we play games, it's it feels like you're trapped inside a nightmare. Devotion did that. Devotion's it feels like I'm trapped inside someone's nightmare, because nothing makes sense. I'm going into rooms that shouldn't be beyond that door, but they are, because that's very dreamlike. But in the Evil One, it's spooky, totally not Resident Evil 4 village. I made Resident Evil 4. Do you remember that? It was good. I made that. What, you don't like any of my other games, but recently, but I made that, so it's good. And you go from there, and then I was on a bridge and firing a 60 cal mounted gun on an army vehicle. I'm like, what game am I playing? What is this? This is so strange. It's like, wow, spooky. Like, wow, yeah, this nightmare's being pretty fucking kind to me. It's giving me stuff and everything. It's just like someone watched Inception and thought it should be a horror game, or should have more horrifying elements.
I mean, I've never actually here's one for the record books. I've never actually seen Inception, but I know enough about Inception from like pop culture osmosis. So like, I know about the horn sounds. I know about like the weird gravity corridors turning upside down and stuff. And there was a lot of that in Evil Within, so I can totally see where you're coming from with that. Yeah. But also the kind of like the realms of going into a dream and into a dream is this nesting concept. And so that's why like I was especially frustrated by the end, because there was no anchoring in reality, and as such there was no stakes.
Yeah.
It's just
a video game.
Yeah, it just happened. And I mean, like,
that's fine. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fine if that just exists to prop up. Like, I will forgive a shit plot if it props up really good gameplay. Likewise, I will deal with shit gameplay if it props up a really good plot. And this was kind of neither. It was like the gameplay exists to perpetuate the game, and the gameplay is rough. I mean, there were times where I felt like I'd got it under wraps and it wasn't too bad, but like overall it was still kind of not, compared to Resident Evil 4. I mean, obviously, and it's kind of unfair, but because he was the director of Resident Evil 4, it did, and this is an action horror game, it just lends itself to those comparisons. And Resident Evil 4, honestly, the plot could be complete dog shit. Maybe at times it is complete dog shit, and we're just kind of biased because we've played it before.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, at the end of the day, it didn't matter because the gameplay was really satisfying.
I think it knows it's dog shit as well, because it's such a generic B movie plot. Save the president's daughter. It's like, but the plot's just kind of irrelevant by that point.
Yeah, save the president's daughter all by yourself.
Yeah, it's like,
except for when Mike shows up, which was awesome.
Yeah,
and then poor Mike. Rest in peace, Mike. But
justice pour one out for your homies.
Justice for Mike. But yeah, the plot is kind of irrelevant for, but that's a good thing, because the gameplay is the most important thing in that. And also a lot of the writing in older Resident Evil games was never good.
Right.
It was never very good, was it? You know, stop! Don't open that door! You know, it's some
what is it? That's my favorite from Resident Evil 1, personally.
Jill, can we see Tyrant now? It's not a good one. Like, what? He sounds like such a lost little puppy. I love Barry, but yeah, exactly. But Evil Win, again, same as you. I bought. I mean, I think I still own it, but I really wanted to like it, because I'm thinking, because at that point, I think around that time, we really starved for very good horror games. I think. Like, really starved for very good horror games. Like, the biggest release was like Resident Evil 5, which was so far removed from anything. Obviously 6 would be even worse, but it was so far removed from Resident Evil. It's a horror action game, I guess. And I was desperate for something that's like really good survival horror, because the survival horror in the PS3 and Xbox 360 area like really took a knock. Like, there wasn't really, I can't think of any really good survival horror games. Like, Dead Rising might count.
Yeah,
I mean, if you let yourself into Dead Rising and really feel for the survivors, there's a lot of horror to be had there.
Yeah,
and I always reference the lady whose baby was eaten in front of her. That's horrifying, and there's no way you can spin that into a joke. It's a terrible, terrible thing to imagine. But yeah, you're right. With the PS3 version, PS3 games or 360 games, horror just went nosedive, because we had Homecoming, which was like, oh my gosh, modern day graphics, Silent Hill is going to be amazing. And then it's kind of like, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
Story wise, it wasn't really all that great.
Yeah.
And then I think Downpour was also on the PS3.
Yeah, it was 2012. I don't know why I said it like that, but I think it was back then. But yeah, there was just I don't know. It's like everyone just moved towards horror action.
Generally, and so it fell to indie to kind of back it up. And at that time, as far as I can recall, the most indie managed was things like Amnesia. It was very kind of like spooky boo, first person stuff, and Outlast.
Yeah, and now that's what a lot of the AAA, like a lot higher budget horror games are not copying, but using as inspiration. Like, first person horror. Yeah, that's good, right? That's good shit. That is good because first person horror is horrible in all the right ways. And but then you've got like the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3, which have like absolute 2 in particular is brimming with atmosphere, and 2 is like genuinely quite frightening in place. Like I'm so happy they make the zombies scary in 2 because they could have had them so easy. I'll just shoot him in the head. No, it won't work. If you're lucky, it will. But
I struggle with that too in remake 2, where it was like you can't shoot them in the head and just like expect them to fall over like you watch a zombie movie. What you'd end up having to do is just put in bullets. They're bullet sponges. But then I'm like, you know what? Everything was a bullet sponge in Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Because like you could say that, well, in 1, 2, and 3 you could take a shotgun and blow off their head. I think in remake 2 you still can. You can pretty much just blow it off if you do it right. If you wait till
got most of a chance. Got a very high probability chance of doing it.
Yeah. So, but with Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, you always had to like put 7 handgun rounds into a zombie or something. Yeah. So it was still carrying over exactly what it was into these remakes, regardless of shooting them in the head or not. So I really liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. In the end, I did. Not immediately, but in the end, I did.
Immediately, like, what the fuck was that working?
Yeah. Like, this bullet's only good for me.
Sometimes take the easy way out. But yeah, so it's quite funny that you look back, you look at modern horror, and you just take it a few years back, and how it's inspired a lot by a lot of indie horror stuff like Amnesia and Penumbra and Outlast. As much as I don't really like Outlast because it got a bit formulaic for me.
Yeah.
But that's why, because I was so excited about Alien Isolation when it came out like years ago on PS4. I was excited and nervous because obviously it's from an existing franchise that I adore that has had a lot of problems, both video game wise and film wise. So I was excited and nervous about that, but also because it was a first person survival horror, and they were straight up like they were adamant, oh no, it's survival horror, it's not, this is what it is, and it felt like the first proper survival horror game in a very long time, like on a modern console, which is, stupidly, I was hoping from The Evil Within, I wanted more horror from it. Whereas I think because it uses like that, is it the STEM system, isn't it, that they use, the dream box thing, it ends up feeling more like fantasy action horror because it's all in a dream.
The final boss is very kind of like
the eyes, isn't it?
Well, there's basically just walls of flesh. It's like a giant brain, and it's coming at you with even more like tendrils and stuff. It's just like flesh on flesh on flesh. It's like how you would imagine, like at the end of Hellraiser, you see the Cenobites, whatever they're called, and they go, "Oh, we come from a place, blah 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 blah," and you're like, your imagination makes that place infinitely more scary than if you actually saw it.
Yeah.
And that game just shows you what it probably would look like, just lots of barbed wire and flesh.
Oh, but don't you understand? You fight a brain because you're in someone's mind.
Yeah,
but are you
so intelligent?
That out in chapter 5, and like by chapter 16, you're kind of like, for fuck's sake.
Your fight is so. It'd be like, it's just ridiculous. It'd be like if James final boss was against a pillow or something in Silent Hill 2. Like, oh, that's the cause of all of this. The pillow.
The pillow was the bad guy all along.
I absolutely understand your frustrations with it. I will say, as much as I still have like loads of problems with 2, like 2 categorically pissed me off a lot of the time. I enjoyed it more.
Okay.
2's got more that I enjoyed about it. It's got some really cool sections. It uses the dreamlike stuff far better. Like the fact you're in a dream, because obviously it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah.
It uses that far more to its advantage. So there's more weird moments of going through a door and go, this doesn't make it. Why the fuck am I here? This doesn't make any sense. And the turn around doors go on.
I like stuff like that, especially when it's kind of, we discussed last week with Devotion, that whole kind of like preempting what the controller will, what the person will do playing, and then like subverting that or making that they're facing a certain direction, so you can do something behind them while they're not looking, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I do like that kind of stuff.
So yeah, two's better, but it's I thought it was too long anyway. But
well, I thought the first one was too long, so we'll see. I will get around to it, and I will play it, and I will go back to 1 eventually. I mean, I've got the DLCs to do, and then once I'm done with that, I will look to do a Kumu mode. Because, like...
Kumu mode?
Yeah, Kumu mode is one-hit kill mode.
I know, right? He was just talking about how much he hated this game, and that is like, I'm going to make myself hate it the most.
The thing is, right, okay, because, like, the thing is... I did The Last of Us Part 2, by the way. That's done. That's gone. Okay, that's finished. Bam. By the way, I've seen people do full permadeath runs of the entire game on YouTube. They are insane. They are so insane. But what was I talking about? Yeah, so, like, I like hard struggles. And now that I know what the game entails, like, I know for the large part, it's probably going to be a little bit annoying, but doable. There are only a couple of sections that really stand out in my memory as will be difficult. For instance, there's the one you were talking about on that bridge. There's lots of combat in that whole chapter. That's going to be pretty annoying. But there are quite a few. There are quite a few engagements with enemies you can actually sneak past. Especially by the end of the game, I was actually working that out by myself. Kind of load a checkpoint, find out where the people are, and get spotted and die, and then from there I'd know what would set them off, and so I just avoided that. And there were actually large parts. There were ways around it, so it's not going to be too bad.
That you're going to have to go back to that game again. But the best part is that you can skip the cutscenes and not care at all about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I won't
just let yourself go.
I won't be being led along like on with a carrot that is dangling in front of me of interesting plot. And also, I know the race now. I know the length, so it's not like when I was playing the game for the story, it just kept going on, and I didn't know where the end was. In fact, someone said to me, "Do you want to know how many chapters there are?" And I said no.
Yeah.
Because that would be I guess it would be a spoiler. But I was more kind of, I just don't want to know, because if you're on chapter 13 and you know 13 is the last one, then I don't know.
You're expecting stuff.
Yeah. So
you end up expecting, like, oh, this is when it's going to wrap up, right?
Yeah. But now I know the game, so I know how long it is. I know what I'm undertaking. So it's kind of, in a way, it actually seems nicer to do that now.
Didn't it have, like, a really weird aspect ratio?
Like, yeah, but you can actually turn that off.
Oh, you can turn it off.
You can turn that off, yeah.
I think you couldn't.
It still comes on for cutscenes, but you can turn it off in gameplay. Yeah, I did that because it was starting to annoy me.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on launch, I just looked down at the looked over at the Wikipedia article. As the aspect ratio of the game received criticism, a patch was released on June 23rd, 2015, that allows players to play the game in full screen. The game was released...
2014, for sure.
Yeah, October of 2014.
I see, so I'm benefiting from 6 months of people going...
Yeah, that aspect... I remember playing... Obviously, I played it on launch, but with that aspect ratio...
Yeah, I can imagine it's quite annoying.
Their argument was, it looks cinematic. It's like, if I want cinematic that much, for the aspect ratio to be letterboxed, I will watch a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are plenty of games that are cinematic, don't have that.
Yeah, and I would also say that, like, maybe, and I mean it's a bit generous, but the content of the cutscenes is worthy enough. But when it's like Villager 16 being hit by a fucking, like, melee or a pistol shot, it's not cinematic. You don't need a board.
No, exactly. Because also, like, I'm one of those weird people who likes this, but what I like in games is that moment where you enter a room and the letterbox fades in, and I'm like, oh, it's cutscene, and I can, like, put the controller down and get, like, a drink or something.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but I don't know many games do it so much anymore, but...
That reminds me of the Silent Hill speedrun where we go to that spot where you talk to young Walter, and it's like the camera is perfectly placed as if it is a cutscene.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah,
like my
great.
very first speedrun, I just like stood there. I'm like, when's the cutscene start? I can't skip this.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, you have to move forward like 2 feet. Start the cutscene. Then you can skip it. Then you're on the other side of the room and you can run back to the door.
I think actually
So
that would
weird.
be a good pivot to talk about our like
Yes.
adventures in speedrunning, Axton.
And your your little rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've just been sat on the
our
sidelines.
little
Just like,
rivalry.
I've been reading the sort between the two of you in our Facebook channel. Like, this is great. I'm not involved.
Yeah.
There's
It's
no
been
rules,
great
Paul.
fun, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm speaking for you, Aston, but yeah, it's been great fun. Not only to not just to learn speedrunning, but also to have like someone else doing it at the same time as you, to be able to watch their streams, to engage in some like low level like beta.
Banter?
Yeah, I hate that fucking word, but yeah,
I know you do.
I can't stand it. But yeah, so well, as of last night, we have a new king to crown. What was your time last night? I think it was about 6 seconds faster than me. Is that right?
Yeah, it's only 6 seconds faster, so I'm not super proud of it, but I am happy that I was able to grind it under the level. So now that I'm no longer at pressure to finally to beat you, I can just sit down on my throne of 6 seconds.
He's so pissed off. I would be so pissed off. Couple
And
of
I
minutes.
did that like on Sunday too. I did that on Sunday. It wasn't even my speedrun day. I did some off-time speedrunning, and I was like, I'm going to beat him before his speedrun, so he doesn't get the chance to push further away. He gets the chance to have to fight off me now that I'm ahead of him.
It's weird how it works, isn't it? Because to me, I have less pressure now I'm not holding the flag, if that makes sense. Now that I'm the one chasing, I feel less pressure.
So you're the babyface in this wrestling scenario then. So, because the babyface is always chasing. See, that's the great chase.
Yeah, I'm still getting up on the lingo, as it were.
You should make Chris the heel.
I mean, I can be a heel, but I'd also like to still be his friend.
I mean, to be fair, we started out with this whole kind of like before even the rivalry of the times began, because when we both started streaming Silent 4, we were actually not completing the game. We kind of like we're running off our old memory and kind of half of like having a guide open, but there were still kind of like areas of the game. Well, first off, I wasn't even running on easy. I was running on normal because I didn't know you could run on easy.
Fucking madman.
Yeah, I should go for the normal any percent. But so before that, there was just kind of like we had this fun rivalry about Eileen. I was very kind of like mean to Eileen, and Chris, of course, was very kind of like kind and caring and nurturing and helpful and supportive of Eileen. And I was kind of like,
right.
I was leaning into that whole kind of like I'm the villain, like, I hate Eileen. But then like I started to look after Eileen and do the things that Chris said I should do, and I was like, I guess I don't hate Eileen. So I've kind of had a redemption arc, so to speak, over that. Yeah, there they are in the chat. We've got an Eileen emote, and it's easily the most used emote.
It is. It's wonderful. I'm so glad we did that. Like, my emotes were like Handsome Jack's mask from Borderlands, which, I mean, even I never used. And then I had the Doom guy with helmet, which I also never used. So I was like, we were talking about Eileen, and I was feeling really like I'm going to taunt him a bit more. So I just immediately deleted one of my emotes that I never used, slapped Eileen's like head in the Krita, and just photoshopped it around to make it transparent, and uploaded it immediately. And I started slamming it into his chat like within 20 minutes.
And it worked. Now I love Eileen.
That's right.
Poor old Eileen.
But
That's true.
I mean, any girl with like a cast on her arm, a limp, in an evening dress and heels, but she can still whip your ass with a chain.
Yeah. And then when you complete the game, you give her the Uzi. So
yeah, she gets an
also
Uzi.
Sick poetry as well.
Yeah, I think if I don't know which engine you have to. You know, you find the Uzi in there's the gun collector. He's got basically airsoft guns, isn't it? And you find the Uzi. Because when I was doing my playthrough, I was like, Uzi, yeah, it's like, oh, it's a fake fucking gun. I'm pretty sure she can get an Uzi. I'm certain she can. Wait, let me quickly Google.
I actually want
Pretty
to
Let us all quickly.
I was
I'm
reading up
typing-
about the costumes today because I was like, are the costumes like allowed on speedrunning or not? Because I know you can start from a new game, but you're not allowed to use the weapons that you can unlock from a save file. But I was like, maybe I could change the costumes.
I'm sure the costumes will be okay because they're not you're not really getting any benefits from them either. It's not like, oh, Eileen now has extra health with it's not like Ashley in Resident Evil 4 with a suit of armor.
Oh, and there goes Chris. Don't worry, he'll be back in a second.
Here we go. Yeah. So submachine gun is firearm introduced in Silent Hill 3, reappearing in Silent Hill 4 The Room. They are only wielded by the female characters in the main titles, Heather Mason and Eileen Galvin. She can use it, she do it. So submachine gun is an unlocked weapon in Silent Hill 4 The Room and is for Eileen. It can only be found after completing the game with a 9-star ranking and starting a brand new Fear game.
There are some
it's
categories
found
as well for getting some of those star endings as well. I think it turns 10-star.
It's found in room 102 at South Edgelord Heights on the counter by the refrigerator. However, Eileen's possessed state will increase.
Oh. Well, okay.
She gets
then again, by that point,
fever.
if you've got a 9-star rating, by that point you should already have like the good ending anyway, shouldn't you? If you've done that good.
As long as she lives, yeah. I mean, all of the criteria is that she lives, and you clear your hauntings, you kill Walter. You know, you live too. You know, as long as those 3 things happen, best ending.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kind of what ending
and then like there are 2 endings: either you look after Eileen and don't look after your house, or you look after your house and don't look after Eileen, or you do neither.
Yeah, I can't remember what ending I got now.
Man,
so like
Eileen with an Uzi? I need to make an emote to be an Uzi so I can just put Eileen and an Uzi together all the time.
We usually get the 21 Sacraments ending when we're running any percent, which is the worst ending. But like the first time I got the mother ending, like my reaction is just amazing because I'm so used to seeing the 21 Sacraments.
Yeah.
So like I got a completely new cutscene. But I recently found that you are allowed to start from a save game. You can make a new game from a save game. So in that way, you can also skip the credits, so you don't have to watch them over and over again.
Unless you're like me, you couldn't get past the credits.
So what I did was I took the credits and I re-recorded my own lyrics to them. Now
yeah, that was actually really cool.
In between my runs.
That was really cool.
I'll have to send you a link to that.
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Yeah, it was like a 6-hour shitpost, basically. I just sat here, and it was funny because I was watching Chris's fight night. So, like, basically, I just stayed up all night until the Sunday morning just doing this shitpost. I was like,
hey,
degree well spent.
Sometimes that's when the inspiration hits.
Yeah.
The latest of nights, which is the most infuriating thing when you go, oh, that'd be a great idea. I'm
going to go to bed and not forget it.
Coffee. Was I going to do something? No, it's fine.
Yeah, I've gotten to where I have a word pad where it just says stream task list, just things that I will do or should do. So if I'm ever sitting there thinking, what was I going to do? I can go, hey, I'll look at my list. And I might make it my fucking desktop wallpaper so I can actually open it and look at it when it's supposed to be looked at and actually do things. I have some other ideas.
But I used to do that on my phone and I just completely ignored it after a point. It was just like...
It was never there. Yeah. I have one of those lists too. And it's like never there. I never fucking look at it. I update it and then never think about it ever again.
There was a list here. It's gone.
Yeah. There was a list here. It's gone. So I'll take over here a little bit, I think, because I've been recently playing Bloodborne, and it's a horror-y game. You know,
no, absolutely.
Not a whole lot of unicorns and rainbows and picnics in that game. Not even one. Not one of either of those 3 things are in that game. No teddy bears, no chocolates, no.
Oh, you
no
don't
happiness.
want any of that in Bloodborne. I doubt it even was.
Not even like as an item you could use to heal yourself. It's everything is blood. You take a Souls game and you just run it along the edge.
I'd also just like to thank you because we have to mention the Souls game every cast. It's the law, and so you've now done that. So thank you.
Have we done that?
Good.
Like literally, I've been writing the write-ups for each episode, and it's like every time it's the Souls games at some point.
That's awesome.
Totally,
46 fucking podcasts, and we always mention the Souls games. Not even favorably. I know I've talked mad shit about Souls games.
Last time you were like, those archers on that bridge, they fucking got me every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck those archers, man.
But see, like, I'm bringing up Bloodborne because I'd given up on Souls games. I mean, I loved Demon Souls, and I would love to play that again. I wanted the PS5 just to play Demon Souls again. I like that game quite a bit. I've tried Dark Souls, and it was like hitting a wall on the Black Knights that you don't have to fight in the beginning of the game. You can come back and do it a lot easier. It's the fact that like internet pressure is like you should get good immediately. You should have no time to practice or ever like think about what you're doing. You should just immediately be as good as the top YouTube guy or you're shit. Period.
Fresh out the womb. You need those.
Yeah. Get those good parries. Yeah. But you don't know how to parry? What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway. Doing arm wavy things. I would basically hit the brick wall there. I had a nice Let's Play thing going, and I was like, well, I'll just get that parry right. And I never did, because the risk was way too great, the reward was way too little. You know? But I noticed when I came back, because I bought it on the Switch, I bought it on PC, I bought it on PS3 and PS4. I have Dark Souls. You know? I keep thinking I'll just try it now, and it'll be easier on this console somehow. But I was playing it on the Switch with my wife watching, and I was actually making a lot of progress and having a good time. And then I went back and fought those Dark Knights, and it was just like, block, whack, whack. Oh, now you're dead. Damn, that wasn't hard at all. I didn't have to learn to parry you to beat you. I just had to get stronger. The games are always about just getting stronger.
Yeah.
Weird.
Improving. Yeah, like I got through Dark Souls 1 without parrying a single enemy. So yeah. Because that's things like it helps. It can help if you parry, like because I can parry okay in like Demon Souls, but Dark Souls 1, it's great if you do parry them. But it's this, I mean, for bosses, for example, so many bosses where you ain't parrying shit. Like,
yeah,
you're running like your ass is on fire.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
But with Bloodborne, like it clicked finally. Like I don't know what it was, but I'm using the gun to stun things like the ogres, no problem. I go down there and it's like, hey ogre, what's up? Blah blah. Yep. Put my hand sort of in your body and yank out all your blood manually until you're dead. Because that's what the visceral attack looks like to me. It's just the weirdest animation. I know that somebody, it might have been you, Matt, or it might have been my other friend, Tom, said that they wouldn't have wanted to make a unique animation per weapon. I don't care about that. Do something different. Let the gun be the visceral attack. Like, you get to put the gun in them and shoot them or something, you know, but whatever. You just sort of mush their organs up with your fingers and then you rip them out. So I was able to do that with the ogres, no problem. I got to the cleric beast and did like all the way down to about 25% of its health in the first try. And I'm like, I can do this. I just needed to do a little bit better. Yeah. And then eventually I got the cleric beast down. And it was now, I mean, for this point on, it was mostly all co-op because we were doing. But when we got to Father Gascoigne, I just stood my ground and stunned him with the gun and visceraled him. I didn't give a shit. I knew what I was doing. I did it twice. I was like taking no damage from the guy. I was like, what? Am I powerful now? Did I finally spend my blood echoes correctly? The answer is yes. What Souls games don't ever tell you is that you should pick a fucking build and stick with it and make that build your personal player strength. Yep. Me, I'm a big gorilla brain basher kind of guy. I'd love to be all like dexterous rapier or arcane magic, but when it comes down to it, if I'm honest with myself, give me the biggest hammer so I can fucking smash things. I will find out how to do that the best way possible.
Yeah. Do you have the Kirk hammer then?
No, I was actually using the because I didn't have access to the Kirk hammer yet with Gascoigne. I think you get that after. Anyway.
Oh yes.
I was using the axe. And
that's great.
Spin to win.
Yeah, that's spin attack because you get like with most enemies, even if they hit you after you start spinning, doesn't matter. Some enemies that cancel it.
Comes out.
Yeah, but you most of the time, no, you're going like that's how I beat Vicar Amelia. Because I mean, you were in the chat like that was just a brick wall for me. I've never struggled so much against that boss. I usually struggle against the Blood-Starved Beast. Like Blood-Starved Beast is usually the boss where and a few times with Amelia, but it's usually Bloodstarved Beast, is that brick wall that early on that I just keep ramming myself into. Once I get past her, or it, like the rest of the game is usually quite smooth. Like even Logarius last week, like he is one of my least favourite boss fights because his first phase is beyond annoying because he just uses magic, and its magic does like loads of damage and it's a big area of effect and he keeps running away. But I mean, I don't know if you were in the chat at the time when I beat him, but once he starts getting aggressive, he's way easier because I had the Evelyn at that point and I just kept parrying him.
Yeah.
It's like parry. Okay, you can just... I just kept shooting him as well. And also found out that if you use Bone Marrow Ash, your one shot will do like 300 damage. So I was doing that as well. It's like, I'm putting more of this into my gun because this gun's great. And then I got
But my cannon does 400 already.
It's like 12 bullets.
Yeah, but
you can only parry 20.
Well, you can shoot 20. You shoot 12, and then you blood up. So you're 8 plus 5, which puts you back over 12, and then you can fire again. But after that, the cannon is you don't use the cannon anymore.
Yeah, it's, as you were telling me, it's a great PvP weapon.
Oh my god, yes.
Go away.
Yeah, it's basically you're dismissed or delete.
Yeah, I don't want you here. That's one thing I've actually enjoyed about playing it offline, is that I don't have to worry about humans invading.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that before. It's a disgusting game feature. It really doesn't promote any kind of fun in a challenging sense. Like you could imagine playing Evil Within, but another player shows up as one of the zombies and kills you. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh god, didn't they do that in Resident Evil 6? Didn't they? They did that in Resident Evil 6. You could play as like enemies.
The eyebrows are active. Eyebrow.exe.
Oh god, yeah, that was a thing. I'd block that out of my memory. Well, I'd block most of 6 out. But
I like 6.
But yeah, I get why. I think I get why some people would enjoy it because it's the risk, you know. But because, like I've said before, one of the things I enjoy so much about the Souls games or the From Software games is that it's the exploration. It's being able to the first time I play a From Software game, I walk everywhere. The first time I go to a location because obviously of traps and pitfalls and new enemies that might ambush, but I like taking in everything and I just like taking my time because they put so much effort and love into the worlds and areas they craft. Like they put so much effort. I even going back to like just Dark Souls 1, like the city of Anor Londo looks incredible, especially for its time. Like how big it looks. Like their worlds always look very big and very like not real, but they look like large cities. They don't just look like a video game castle.
Yeah.
And I like just walking around and taking my time. But then you can't do that if it's Pawnmaster 671 has invaded, and it's always like
Pawnmaster 671. Dude, he's a legend in the porn industry. I don't know.
But then you got, because the problem is like, so you wasn't getting invaded someone, it's like, oh god, you're min-maxed to shit because you see them. And then they're always using, especially in Demon Souls actually, they're always using that fucking katana. Yeah. They're always just rolling around everywhere. And if their netcode's shit, then you're going to have a really bad time. Because when I was streaming Demon Souls last year when I got my PS5, 2 fights in a row when I got invaded, I'm doing okay. I'm kind of kicking their ass, like straight up fight, kicking their ass. And they go to do like a big attack. I roll out of the way and I'm behind them, like, aha, now's my moment. I go to hit the R1 button, all of a sudden they're here, I'm here, all of a sudden they're just there and they backstab me. So, what the fuck?
Shadow
Yep. So enjoy our game, everybody. But also, here's this bully. He's coming to kick your ass. Yeah. And we're letting it happen because we added this feature in the game for some reason. And no one will ever PvP actively unless they're twinked out. Because why wouldn't you? You know, unless you're like maybe a YouTube personality or something. And you perhaps want to get some cool video highlights by being like a low-tier PvP guy and still winning. I don't know. But whenever I got PvP'd, it's always somebody with a massive club of some kind or a way stupid hat, because it's always the way stupid hats that come out. You know, Like when we were playing Bloodborne, we got killed by somebody using this long spiked club thing, and it was just dash forward and then like try to like stab me with the club, because that's what you do with clubs, is you stab people. You stab with the club, and then you just do it again because it's a very fast attack. So I was on the ball with my defense. I'm like, okay, back up, side, whatever. If I did like a side dodge, it was like my dodge was slower than his attack.
Yeah.
So the attack would come right after my dodge and still hit me, and then it would hit me again and again and again. And it's like, why are we okay with this? As like a gaming community, why are we okay with this in all of our games?
Yeah.
Which is why after Bloodborne, I'm going to go to Neo, and Neo doesn't have that kind of PvP.
Yeah, it's
so
kind
I'm
of
like,
optional.
okay, well, that's the answer then.
It's
Support the game that doesn't have that shit.
Yeah, because it's not even optional PvP, because what it is, it's other players that have like died or whatever, and you've got the option to fight their ghost, their spirit, haven't you? Which is kind of cool. I like that. I want to play Neo 2, actually. I've heard good things about Neo 2.
Mm-hmm. So
really
I'm just like making my public announcement that the Souls games are beautiful, well, like a lot of dripping with lore, a lot of interesting things to see, a lot of replayability, but that PvP shit's got to go. Like, it doesn't provide fun for anybody.
Unless it's like some dickhead who just wants to give people a bad time. And
Which is all you do. When you do PvP with somebody, it's like, I'm going to give this person a bad time. Roll the dice.
Yeah, I'm just going to slow down your progression. Oh, don't. I just want to... So I just want to get off this
something I will be able to turn off when I eventually get there?
You can just play offline.
Okay.
Or,
that means you can't play co-op.
Yeah, or you just make... If you're playing co-op, you just have, like, 2 buddies with you. Because I've had that before, and it's that is one thing that is quite amusing. Me and my friend Rich played a lot of Demons on the PS5 version on launch. He was a magic user, and I was a frontline fighter, so we kind of complemented each other very well. If we came up against another magic user, I would just bum rush them because their defense was paper.
Yeah.
Or even more fun is that if one of us like hid in the right location, they wouldn't be able to see them.
Nice.
Which is really fun, and then you kind of surprise them, and they would try and run away. God. I've also seen some other videos actually of Dark Souls. That's quite funny, because you've got there's items you can find. I can't remember if they're not tree branches. There's things you can use, and you can become like inanimate objects to like blend in. And there's like one area where there's like a long ladder, and the guy would get invaded. And he'd go, fine, and he'd go up the ladder, and you go into this one little alcove where there's like a statue, like one side, and he would go like here. And he'd like become the statue, and he'd just wait there. He wouldn't move, and the guys would come up and go, run around. See, they go back, they go down the ladder, they come back up again, and he's like, well, then they turn around, and the second they turn around, steps out, and he kicks them down the ladder, and they just die. It's not even the attack, just kick, just kick them down.
Awesome.
Man, that's the best way to do it. It's like, just get the fuck down there, get the fuck out of my game.
But see, like, that's the other thing too. I think it's really important to mention this. Like, we're whining a little bit about PvP, sure, but the fact that the people who come in from PvP to kill you in your game are not aggroed by the enemies.
That's the worst thing, I think.
Yeah. So if they're losing, they can run into the wall of enemies, heal up, and then come back and fight you. And if you chase them, you'll have to deal with the PvP guy or girl or whatever, and also the enemies that you aggroed. And they're all coming after you, and that's it. It's like, none of this makes any sense to me, unless it's like people just want to be bullies, and they wanted to fucking put that in the game somewhere.
Yeah, I've had it before when I think it was Bloodborne, actually, or it could have been Dark Souls 3, and I've had someone just run off and just stand in the middle of a cluster of enemies. It's like, great, that is where I have to go.
Yeah, see, that what you do there is you just go back to your bonfire or something, and you just fucking go make breakfast or something like that. If they're not going to come out after you,
like,
just
I've had a few instances with, some positive instances with people that have invaded. There are a few who that were actually quite cool about it, but they wouldn't run off and do that. In fact, if it looked like I was AFK, they would just wait. And then they'd like walk somewhere, there was like a big opening, and we'd have a fight there. And it's like, that's good because you're not being a dick about it, but at the same time, you are still hindering my experience.
Yeah.
Just go away. Leave.
Like, give us an arena. That's the thing. The answer is give us an arena. I understand why people want to PvP in the Souls games. The combat is fun, and you want to go against somebody else. It's fun. It's fine. But give us an arena, or like make it so you can contact someone for a duel specifically. You know, like make it so that the people who want to do it get to do it with those who also want to do it.
Yeah, it's more fun, right?
Fucking making it so the people who want to do it have to be assholes because there's no other way to do it. And then the people who don't want to do it have to fucking, you know, it's fucking stupid. Sorry, all the F-bombs, but it's so weird to me that a group of adults came up with this method of PvP and was like, green light that.
This one would piss anyone off. Actually, no, we'll do. Fuck it, do it anyway.
Do it anyway. We've gone too far. We can't turn back. This is how it's going to be.
The game has become self-aware. It would get angry if we take it out. But no, I agree about that. But I'm glad you're having fun with Bloodborne, though, because it is one of my favourite games, I think, of all time. Like, this is my fifth time playing it, I think. And I'm doing a completely different build. I'm doing a Blood Tinge build. And it's kind of weird.
I still think about when I told you I soloed Eileen the Crow, and you're like, yeah, but why? She's a friendly NPC.
Let's go. No, Eileen. And then you explain why. I'm like, oh, that would explain why.
Yeah.
She goes mad if you don't do a thing before another thing.
Yeah.
And
but to be fair, the very first time I played Bloodborne, I hit her by accident and she kicked the shit out of me. So this was revenge.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. When you help her,
I did that too.
Yeah, it's because you.
Well, you said,
go,
she's a friend. I'm like, well, she ain't to me. She's attacking me.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, once you attack her, she will always attack you. There will be no forgiveness ever. So you can't do anything but kill her at that point.
She assumes you've gone mad with bloodlust because that's what she does. She's a hunter of hunters.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bit when you have to help her take down one of the mad hunters, you have to be very careful because if you can accidentally hit her, and if you accidentally hit her too many times, she will think. She'll go for you.
You also.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm really glad you're enjoying Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Because this is like, because obviously I stream on Wednesdays at the moment. I think it's I said it before. I think it's like 4th or 5th playthrough. And I'm doing the Blood Tinge one. Finally got the sword. Got the Chikage. Finally, and it's the coolest, most ridiculous thing ever. It's basically a samurai sword, like a katana, but with more of a like Western crossguard on it, which is quite cool. And it's really quick. Doesn't do as much damage as like the axe, obviously, even in its untransformed state. But it's really fast, so you can get like multiple hits in very quickly, and then get out of the way. And its transformed state, it's like the edgiest thing ever, where it's you empower it with your own blood.
Yeah.
And it's super cool though. So not only does it, because once you transform it, it combines both your skill modifier and your blood tinge modifier. So that's why I've been leveling those like now. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I had my strength kind of high as well because obviously you still get some scaling, but now all my points are going into blood tinge and skill. It combines those two and just does a load of damage, but it does like gradually decrease your health. But the one you can do an instant attack with it as well, because you hit L1 to transform it, and the hunter sheaths the sword. If you hit the attack button, it comes out very quickly again. It's very anime. It's very, very silly, but very cool.
Very anime.
Yeah, and I'm looking.
We all like our anime. I'll tell you what.
I like my big eye characters,
but
I have so many pillows.
I'm looking forward to using the sword more on Wednesday. It's going to be really cool, and I'm probably going to try a lot more because of it. But I don't care now because I was getting a bit impatient just because I wanted to get the sword.
Right.
I don't have it, so now I can kind of take my time and relax a bit.
Like, I think the final lesson about enjoying a Souls game is that once you get your build put together, your souls no longer matter. Like, you can still make it better. You can still spend souls on the skills or your attributes to make them better. But you should be good enough to beat the game, basically. So if you got to the point where your strength is high enough to wield the cannon, you're done. You got the cannon. You got it. You know, that's the power creep. From that point on, if you die later on and you die again and you don't get your echoes, who cares? It's fine. You don't lose anything. You just lose that time going over there and you just do it again and you haven't lost your power. You just don't get more echoes, and it takes so many echoes to level up that it becomes annoying to try to level up any further.
Because I see that it gets to a certain point in the game, and I see that it becomes less about leveling yourself up, and more so about improving your weapon. Like maxing its level out and then getting really good gems for it, because now I'm basically with the Chicago, I'm on the hunt for blood tinged gems, because I was looking up a wiki and they were basically saying if you get the right gems for this, it's one of the best weapons in the game, because you get enough blood tinged gems, it scales that through the roof. And you'll be taking gradual damage, like obviously the decreasing of your health, but you'll be dishing out so much damage, it's fine. But it's a real good Hail Mary weapon, which is kind of like, you're desperate, so the blood comes out. The inner emo. No,
I just wish they didn't call it blood tinge. I mean, that's a cool word. It's an edgy word. It's really cool. Very cool. But they should have just called it dexterity, so I knew what the fuck they were talking about when I was playing the game. Because it's what it is. It helps you with your gun damage, and it helps with your highly dexterous katana weapon. I'm sorry, it was written in the chat.
Yeah,
I had to give it a shot.
just wrote in the chat. I love pronouncing katana. Katana.
Katana.
Yeah.
What a good katana. I want to be a ninja. I like katanas.
Yeah.
It should rhyme with banana.
It's like in my chat last week, I was talking to someone also from England, and she said, I love how you say caramel. And I'm like, caramel? Like, I didn't realize I was saying it in any kind of weird way, because in America we could say caramel.
You mean caramel?
So
caramel wafer.
Caramel. That's how you're supposed to say.
What's
caramel? Anyway, Kairo.
Yeah. Why not?
No.
Well, I was just going to ask Matt before we did that, because I had a segue in my head, but you've done like the preemptive strike. I was going to mention that Matt's also been streaming Forbidden Siren 2, and then I was going to go J-horror into that.
Let's do it anyway. Fuck it, dude.
Do it anyway.
Yeah, our own masters here. We're not into anyone else.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, we've gone back. None of that has happened.
None of it's happened. Caramel.
Yes. Vision on you, Tom.
Segue?
No. I was just going to make Matt talk about Forbidden Siren and then use that as a segue into...
Right, I'll do it now. So I've been playing Forbidden Siren 2, and I love it, and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, there's lots of love and hate.
Yeah, it's thankfully for me, the positives far and away outweigh the negatives. But when the negatives are there, they are really. So funny story about the Forbidden Siren series. So I'm doing something similar to how I'd played the From Software games, actually. So I played Bloodborne first, then I played Dark Souls 2, then 1, then 3. So I did it in a great combination. And then I played Demon's Souls, so it was like all over the place. With the Siren games, I played Siren Blood Curse first, which I've just realised is, when we were talking about a lack of survival horror games and during the PS3 era, I completely missed Blood Curse off. I really like Blood Curse. And when it came out, it was released episodically, and it actually got the episodic thing right, where it would release X amount of episodes every month, and it had like a proper... Fuck, you've actually got a physical copy. That's going to go up in price very shortly as well. I think because I bought it online, and I think I downloaded it on Kitty's PS3, and I hope I did, because otherwise, fucked. It's gone both. You own them all. I only own the second one.
I've still barely played just the first one.
So I played Blood Curse first. Really liked it. And I think it's like a remake. No, it's a reimagining of the first one with less characters. I'm like, still quite a lot of characters, but okay. Own the second one physically because I picked it up from a retro gaming convention for a lot cheaper than it's worth now, which is quite nice. And I've got the the first one. I've got Forbidden Siren 1 on my PlayStation 4 because it was one of the PS2 games you could buy that has trophies as well, which is weird. So yeah, I've played them out of order, and Kitty really wanted to see Forbidden Siren 2 as well because she really likes Blood Curse. And I was like, oh, just because I've been doing like indie horror games on Friday, but I didn't want to keep doing like 2 indie horror games every Friday because I was worried I'd just go through all the good ones and just start playing dross that's nothing but jump scares, which I fucking hate. So I was like, I'll play Silent 2, this is great. And the actual reason I never played them back in the day is obviously I remember Game Station, when it was still Game Station, it wasn't just Game. It wasn't bought out by Game. It had like a big, they did like in Southend they did like a big thing. Siren just come out. Oh, and they were, obviously Sony were really pushing it. And they had they were the big thing about it in Game Station. They had the game playing like on the demo on the screens. And the reason they never bought it is because I was like, wow, that looks like Silent Hill because it's all foggy and stuff. Not knowing that it was made by previous developers from the first Silent Hill game, like previous people that worked on that, or people that worked on the previous. And wow, that's great. And obviously at that stage in my life, Silent Hill games scared the shit out of me, and they still kind of do. And then I saw like the digitized faces that they used for textures on the character faces instead of just like, the more traditional style at the time. And I saw the Shibito, and they really fucking creeped me out so much. I just couldn't bring myself to buy it because it had that kind of uncanny valley effect. It's like in Silent Hill, it creeps me out, but they look really, the character models still look really good, but they're still, these fuckers are people. They're creeping the shit out of me.
Yeah,
The Shibito tend to have an almost joyous time.
Quite a lot of them are laughing.
Yeah, they're kind of like Bob in Twin Peaks. Like they're going to kill you, and they're going to enjoy every single second. But yeah, so I've been playing Siren 2, and it's great. It's a really good Japanese horror in the sense that there's loads of characters. I think you play it. I'm trying to think of the playable characters. So there's about 8 or 10 playable characters in it, and you don't play as them once. Like I think because it's weird because each mission has a second mission as well, but then to get that second mission you have to have picked up an item or turned on something with someone else back like 4 hours ago, because it's all told out of order, which is really hard to get past initially, but then as you progress through the game it does all start to piece itself together, and you start, oh, that's why that person was there, and this makes sense. And so many people I know would like just ignore the archives because you all the written documents and stuff you have to read outside of missions. So many people avoid them, and you absolutely have to read them because it allows you to start piecing this together yourself as well without the game just outright telling you in cutscenes. Which is
Can you imagine Until Dawn and it just cuts to like near the end of the game and then it cuts back to the start of the game?
Yeah, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Right, that guy's dead now? Because like you see that character that you play as is dead and now has become a Shibito, which is the name of if people in the chat don't know what Shibito are, it's the actual translation, literal translation is corpse people. No matter how you die in Siren, if you've been in contact with this water, this red water, you will come back as a Shibito. It doesn't matter. It's kind of frightening and feels hopeless, and I love it. There's a lot of Japanese horror actually.
Hopeless is definitely the word for it.
Yeah, and I love it. It's got such like a strange. Again, it's using that whole like dreamlike, nightmarish feeling about it. It's like there's all the technology, like the phone lines aren't, nothing's working on the island. And the first game, the village is like cut off, and I it's like very Silent Hill. The roads are all out. You can't just drive away because the roads are out. You've not got that problem of why don't you just leave? You literally can't go anywhere. But yeah, I love it, but the difficulty is
oh yes,
every time there's a Shibito, I go into a mission, I find out there's a Shibito a gun, pause the game, I get my phone out, and the walkthrough comes up because the Shibito do not fucking miss.
No, they don't.
And they'll be like, holding like a gun one-handed and like this, and they do not miss.
They're a dead shot with a gun.
Pretty. No. Yes, they are. So in that regards, like that, I always get really annoyed with those missions. I was getting really pissed off with one mission because it felt like I was so far up against it, but it didn't feel like a fair challenge. It was like one mission in particular didn't feel particularly fair.
Yeah, they even had the high ground.
Yeah, pretty much.
Up the stairs with the gun. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. And sometimes your smoke bombs seem to work, and sometimes they don't. But because the thing is, you can't kill them because they just come back. You can incapacitate them. But still, besides all that, it's great. But shooting missions, walkthrough comes up, and also actually, when I start a mission, I get the walkthrough up and I skim read it without spoiling anything, just to look out to see if it says, "Pick up the butterfly from the locker to unlock Shu Mikami's mission 7 hours from now." Because there's a couple of instances I was saying to Tom before we started. There's a couple of instances when you're escorting another character around that you also play as, and there's 2 instances you have to tell her to wait in a certain location, and then she picks up an item that someone else later will use.
Oh yeah.
No fucking prompt. I think the first one maybe she says, "Oh, it looks like there's something here," but why would you think of saying hide? You'd look yourself, right? You'd be going,
yeah. You got hands.
Yeah. The worst one was I was playing as someone else, and we came out of a room, and I'm like looking at it going, wait, I've got to do what? You go around the side of this place, and then tell her to wait or hide, and then she finds something. Like, there's no prompt. So it's
Now
it's
you've got me
unfortunate.
wondering what a Siren speedrun looks like. And
there's actually a few people in the Clock Tower team that have been speedrunning the first one, I think.
Yeah. There's categories look like any percent, true end any percent, and 100%. Wow.
I'm assuming True End is doing all of the mission 2s.
Yeah. Well, that's only on the first game. The second game looks like it's just got 2 kinds of any percent, which is really confusing.
How quick is that?
Any percent on Forbidden Siren 2 is 1 hour 37 minutes 47 seconds. There are only 4 people running it.
I'm like 8 hours, 9, 10 hours in. Jesus. Oh, to be fair though, it's predominantly it is a stealth horror game.
Yes.
It's not Resident Evil. You're not like, yeah, let's have more times. Like, no, you will, because you can attack. You can, like I said, you can incapacitate them. They will get back up again.
That's why I got frustrated with the first one. I got through the first mission with a Shibito with a gun, and then I got onto the second mission with a Shibito with a gun. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, the walkthrough comes out for them because, and I think it only goes to show that there's enough good elements about the game I like. That it's, like I said, its positives are stronger than the negatives, and that's the only reason it keeps me going, because I've gotten pretty invested with these characters as well. Every time one of them's died, I've been like upset about it. I think when I was playing it last Friday, I yelled out, "Oh shit," when one of them was shot. I was like, no, he's going a bit crazy, but I still like him.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, and it's very Japanese.
It's extraordinarily Japanese.
Yeah, and in
a lot of their horrors,
Japanese
they like
things,
the characters.
everybody dies.
Yeah, they like that hopelessness.
They sure do.
Where it's like, yeah, you can't really stop this thing. You can kind of just try and get away from it.
And we know that because we've got our finger on the pulse.
There we go. There we go. There's our segue. That's a good one.
Accepted a pun regarding the city of Cairo.
Yeah, this is maybe a little bit better. Although it seems like a lot of the ghosts are in denial. Let's move on.
Zing.
I picked today's film, Kairo, a.k.a. Pulse, released in 2001. Directed by, I forget his first name, but his surname is Kurosawa. I think it's Kinchiro Kurosawa? Yoshi, that's it. And the reason why I picked this film is, as I said on the last podcast, was because I was thinking about watching an old school J-horror movie from around the time of Ringu and Grudge. But I didn't want to pick Ringu, and we'd already done Grudge. So I decided to go with this one. And I'm glad I watched it. It gets it's got this reputation as a really kind of scary thing. And I don't like we'll get into it. I don't think it was incredibly scary at all.
No.
Certainly not in the realm of kind of like Ringu and Grudge in terms of, although there were some moments of like, there were lots of moments of unease and tension and lots of very slow burning horror, which I do like, and I'm glad I watched it. But it seemed to have this kind of reputation in my head of like being really scary, and it wasn't that scary. It was more just ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well,
I was expecting my spooks.
It's kind of like I was saying with when we did Ju-on and all that stuff, especially Ju-on, not so much The Grudge, because American filmmakers at least tell a story in a straight line. And Japanese story makers, like, Siren is just like all the story spread out somewhere, and you have to put it together yourself. It's kind of scattered.
It's literally a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Siren is literally a spreadsheet. It's like Excel, and they put a game on top of it.
It kind of
So,
works somehow.
Yeah, so it's like with Pulse, it's really no different. It's like I like the movie. There are definitely some good things about it. There are like, I like the overarching plot, but I don't want to point fingers at it yet because we just started talking about it. But what bothers me in this one is that the characters, I don't like any of them.
Really?
They're not likable. They're blank pieces of paper, every fucking one of them. And then I think the reason for this, though, and this is like in the very beginning, it's also been like 3 weeks since I've seen it, so apologies, I don't remember any of their names. But the guy who lived in the messy apartment. Do we know his name?
Yusuke Kawashima.
Yusuke, okay.
You're talking
So
about
Yusuke.
Sorry,
Yusuke
which
out...
messy apartment? Because there are lots of messy apartments in this as well.
Well, he specifically says it's a messy apartment, and he's the only one who does that.
Oh, the guy who tidies up. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that is Kawashima.
Okay, Kawashima, that's right. Yeah, I didn't remember Yusuke, but I definitely remember Kawashima. So yeah, he constantly says to other characters that he doesn't know anything about computers. But this motherfucker has a computer. And he has a copy of Quake 1 on the coffee table.
Nice.
Motherfucker knows about computers. He pulls out an instruction manual from his own house on how to get on the internet that he purchased at some point. The motherfucker knows about computers, but he keeps saying, I don't know shit about computers, which is his whole carry arc to from one character to another so he can talk to somebody and then they bond, whatever. But it's like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this guy knows. I mean, the set pieces are all put together. This guy is a computer guy. Either he's like in denial, like he's like, it's not cool to like computers, so I totally don't know shit about computers. But he like low key plays Quake 1 or something. I don't know what the fuck it is. He even had a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1 controller he had wired somewhere. The guy knows
he's getting into it. Like he's getting into the hobby of computers, but it also does seem like a way to talk to girls in computer rooms as well.
Well, yeah, it certainly worked out for him.
It did to an extent, and then well, for a while at least.
Well, I see what you. I mean, I take your point about the characters. I would argue of all the characters, I feel like Kawashima is the most character. He's got the most. He stood out for me as the, especially because, well, we can agree to disagree, but because Kawashima has got that kind of like unending kind of optimism, which I kind of like. I'm a very cynical person, but underneath is someone who wants to be optimistic all the time, and that kind of like struck a chord with me, even to the point where like when people who are obsessed with death and sadness want to talk about death and sadness, he's like, can we just change the subject, please?
Yeah, I really like Kawashima. I was rooting for him by the end, and he's yeah, I understand what you mean, Chris, but I'm with Tom. It's like I really liked Kawashima. His optimism was so inspiring. I was like, oh, kid, I wish I could be more like you.
Almost unfaltering to the end. I mean, we'll end up skipping around in the plot and stuff.
Oh yeah,
we have to. It's a Japanese movie.
Exactly. So
it's
fitting.
But with Kawashima though, like I was talking to Tom a little bit when I was watching it, and I said, "This is about one of those Henry Townsend looking motherfuckers right here." It was just like
just an average Joe,
blank as a sheet, and then he was like, "Let's just be positive." Like shit's happening all over, and he's like, "Let's just be positive. I'll just ignore everything, and it's totally fine." And like,
yeah, that positivity is all he has. That's the thing. It's like, I'm not letting go. I'm not giving up. And I'd like to think I'd be like this guy in this situation. I wouldn't be, but I would. I'd like to be like that.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, you know what? Fuck this shit, and just have what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll start summarizing the movie, and we'll kind of move forward from there. So, Pulse is about
2 hours long. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay. Pulse is sort of about computers and the internet and ghosts. I mean, that is the kind of like the tiny little pithy summary that you see on the internet when you look it up, and that's why it kind of stuck in my head as like, it's spooky ghost internet, right? But when you start watching this film, that's a very kind of surface level thing, and as you watch the film, you notice that the layers are deep and constantly kind of like unraveling. And so the get you through the door kind of thing is, yes, it is about ghosts and the internet, but like it also has stuff to say about people and society, individualism, loneliness, technology being used to reach out socially, but also to inhibit people socially as well, so they don't actually make proper connections, but they feel like they are. It's about so much, and I also like the fact that it's because many of its contemporaries, like The Ring and The Grudge, they're not necessarily jumpy, spooky boo horror, but they are more so than this is. This seems very much like a kind of a slow burn, themes and situations kind of like movie, as opposed to, and I think again that's why the approach of having multiple characters works, because you get to see it affecting several different people in different ways.
Exactly. It makes it feel like a much bigger thing by proxy than if it's just, this is the main character and it's the only person we're following.
Yeah. And the whole thing as well, like, works on a metaphorical level, like in terms of the events of the plot, so much so that I thought we were actually kind of watching a metaphor for something else. But like I was saying before, the cast, then a plane crashes and then they're on a boat, and then apparently it is all happening. It's not just like a metaphor for loneliness or whatever. But there are moments like that, and we'll touch on those. But to begin with, the essential premise is that they're a group of, I guess, botanists. Like, I don't know what these people do. It's like they know computers back to front, but they also like water plants. I don't know what their business plan is.
I thought, dudes, I'm so sorry, but like they were so hyper focused about this disc for the first 15 minutes of the movie, and the disc does nothing. Yeah. The disc was never even intended to do anything. They weren't even lamenting the loss of the disc at all. They're just like, well, we got the disc, and our
the way they spoke about it, I thought it was almost going to be like illegal, like they were in some kind of like data, like you know, like they talked about the disc like it was, oh well, at least we got the disc back, kind of like maybe there was something incriminating on it or something like that. No, I guess it's just like plant records
or the dark web.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is in the remake.
This plant and this plant.
But I've seen clips of the remake, and that is, I think it's basically what is on the USB stick. It's like, he downloaded Ghosts or something like that in the American. They have to explain it.
I have seen clips of the American version, and that is as far as I'm ever going to go with that.
He downloaded something, man. He opened up something to, like, supernatural airwaves, man. Like, wait, what is happening?
Okay.
Don't explain it, because now it's silly.
In defense, okay. Pulse, as told by Japanese directors and movie makers, works because the Japanese don't care about the straight line of story. Yeah. They just throw shit out there, and they want you to feel what they're feeling, which that's the form of art, and it's perfectly fine. We watch the movie, we enjoy the movies. I love Ju-on, and I also love The Grudge. But when America's like, okay, this is a popular Japanese movie, we have to convert it for our audiences, and they're just like, how the fuck do we do this? There's something about a disc. This is important because that's a major thing. Like, it's the internet is the major like reason why this is happening. So we have to make this work somehow. So we'll just say somebody downloaded actual ghosts from the dark web because they deep dived into the internet so fucking hard, and that's how the ghosts are gonna be here, because that's what the Japanese have said. It's just that they didn't do it that way. They're just like vague about it, like ghosts.
They like stare at a picture of his apartment with his like reflection in the ghost screen, and the American version is like, I'll load up Bing and Ghost Exy.
I'll go on Google.
Google.
Or like the fake Googles that's always in these films. Or like one of my favourite ones was, I think it was, wasn't it the Bibo Man that was just web search. Like, that's my favourite web search engine. Is just web search.
I like Google. That was really funny. It's ghosts.
Google. Google. But yeah, that
cool.
Because it's like, yeah, it's one of those things. Isn't it? Like, well, we've got to explain it. It's like, well, just can you come up with something better than God? I think he kind of opened something and downloaded some ghosts. Like, because like they do kind of they give a there's a
it's all right. He'll be back.
Yeah, he's back. There's like a hypothetical theory, isn't there, partway through the film, one the students has. He's like, after a while, they got to go somewhere because there won't be any room when there's no more room left in hell. And he speculates that it just came through something, and that was the first occurrence. Now it won't stop. So that's it. But getting back to the summary for it, Tom, when you're saying about the botanists, like, because I was trying to figure out who they were as well, and I was thinking maybe they were students, because a lot of it takes place, like some of it takes place in a university, doesn't it? Like maybe they're students and it's working at the flower shop is, or whatever it is like the weekend job. I don't know. That's the things like we never know. And their boss is only ever referred to as boss. So
right.
Like even if he was like Dr. or Mr. Yamaguchi, you'd be like, oh, maybe he's their lecturer, and this is part of their study or something.
Sure, yeah.
So,
but we'll never know.
No, never know. Because they're all
we'll never
dead.
know. Well, yes, that. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said these characters are such blank pieces of paper, because we don't know who they are at any point. Except, I mean, Kawashima's got like the most characterization, but he's also got the most screen time.
He also,
and besides the positivity, I'm having a hard ass time finding anything else about him that is a characteristic. Except that he's messy and he loves computers. Don't let me fucking lie to you.
He does have actually one of my favorite reactions I think I've seen in a horror film I've watched recently, when instead of having like that big scared face that a lot of people always overacting in a lot of horror films, when something creepy happens to the computer, he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he like just
like,
bats it.
Yeah. No, I don't like it. And he unplugs everything.
Yeah, then he gets a cigarette and takes a nap.
Like, fucking, oh, it's horrible. He just like walks away, tugs up the Ethernet cables. Like, no, fuck that. No, it's fucking creepy.
Now's a pretty good time actually because you mentioned all of that kit and everything. How nostalgic this movie is to watch if you had a computer at that time or around that time.
Yeah,
just the early 2000s. This is amazing.
Yep.
From phones to computers, even like I noticed that Kurosawa has like the jeans chain like hanging down. I was like, the fashion as well was just I was like, it's wonderful. Like going back.
Simpler time, a lovely time of dial-up.
Right, so
that's the real horror.
The dial-up then was pretty good because they were getting video like streamed to their computers through dial-up internet. Pretty good.
It's magic spooky video.
Yeah, well,
that's
yeah.
right.
Ghosts
different
kind of bandwidth, I guess.
They could just wanted to give them fiber optic internet.
That's what they
wanted to do. And they just wouldn't listen.
Think of how fast we can download Ghosts with fiber optic.
Don't the Ghosts like download your face or something in the remake as well? because they have to show that, because we have to have them go rah at the camera, and they go and their souls get sucked out or something silly, something like that. Because
so better than the Bye Bye Man.
I'm imagining a future where because all of these things are kind of like ghosts coming into technology and stuff, it always amuses me no end to pretend that they just become mundane trivialities of life. Okay. Just like Virgin Fiber like call up and they say, oh, we can offer you like 10 ghosts a month, like you can talk to your entire dead family if you want.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't know, BT they're offering about 11 or 12, but if you're trying to
unlimited streaming
sports
ghosts
channels. Do I get the sports channels as well? Yeah. Watch it with the ghosts, you see. Bigger package.
Watch it with the ghosts.
Anyway, sorry, Tom. Would you like to summarize the rest of the film? As we keep going off tangents.
The said disc is they go around their friend's house to check, or they go around that house one by one, which is a really bad idea because ghosts are there. I loved the opening. The music was really kind of like classic horror, almost kind of Hitchcockian violin stabs. Yeah, which I really liked. And another thing that I liked about that opening sequence where she goes on the bus by herself, apart from the fact that shot is reproduced later on, it gives you a hint at the fact that there are less and less people in Tokyo. Like the fact that, kind of like she's traveling alone and what have you. But she's also traveling at sunset, and I noticed that like all of the colors are really extremely muted. Like the sky's overcast, even though you can tell it's sunset. Like it's just not bright warm colors, it's just kind of like a dull kind of like yellowy gray. Just kind of like adds to this kind of sense that, because the movie is about, like, we're going to jump out the summary for a second, but the movie is about lots of things. But like if I had to put my finger on it, it's about loneliness, it's about the human need for contact, and the fact that technology can provide that, but at the same time it's not good enough as like real proper human contact. Like if I could actually touch Chris,
yes,
then we would have a different connection to the one we have now. Very different.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm looking at Discord and it's probably the other way around. See what I mean? We can't make a real connection. And it's also about suicide. Bring it back down again. It's also about suicide. It's also about melancholy and the fear of loneliness and being alone forever. So all of these things are kind of like present in the mise en scène, the cinematography, but like you don't know what you're watching at first. You don't know all of that. You just kind of get a vibe. And then when she goes to that guy's apartment and she meets with him, you can tell that he's very kind of like low, and he's replying, like he's trying to put on a brave face, but he seems very miserable, very depressed. And then she literally steps out for a second to go and get the disc, and when she comes back in, he's hanged himself. So you get this sense that maybe he was a bit of a loner, he's a bit upset, but then you realize as the plot continues and we follow these characters, that kind of melancholia spreads. And it kind of represents things like, I don't want to be trite about the subject matter, but like, when people commit suicide, they leave a hole. It's almost like they are an absence, like in reality, kind of the way that they have the dark shapes in this movie, and that they're kind of like an absence of a person. A person used to be here. And so that kind of like spreads its way throughout the movie, and you kind of see that how that affects these other people in their lives, and then it kind of spreads almost like a disease, as kind of like suicidal notions and ideations. But also apparently there are real ghosts as well. It's like, it's like, I'm like, it's a metaphor, I get it, but wait, no, now she's a stain on the wall. What?
Right. And I mean, I'm just going to interject here and say that, like, all the stuff that you're saying is beautiful. What a great perspective you have. However, because there are ghosts, that nullified everything before it, in my opinion. Like, everything about what it's saying about leaving holes and suicide, that's great. But because a ghost actually did it, it removes the whole thing from before. Because it's like, these ghosts are what is actually taking people and either forcing them to kill themselves or doing some other weird spooky mumbo jumbo to them to make them really sad until something happens, like they just melt away or something, because that happens later too. It's not just self-death, it's an actual removal of the physical form. But that's me though. I'm much more of a logical, this is a thing and that is a thing and there's nothing in between them kind of person.
I can totally see that.
So, and not an artsy guy, but
well, no, but I totally respect that viewpoint, and to me that is the most confusing thing about the movie. Like, it is poetry, but at the same time it's kind of got this grounded layer to it that also kind of goes off the deep end towards the end, and you're like, is this happening, is this not happening, what have you. Like, we will probably touch on it later, but there is a scene later on when Kawashima and the girl he likes, who is very, very depressed, they try to escape on a train. And not only, I mean, I know it's a subway train, so it kind of goes through the subway, so it's supposed to be dark, but aside from the fact the train is completely empty, it also just kind of stops as if the driver has just disappeared. And the whole thing to me felt like super metaphysical, like this is like a kind of like a nightmare, and like, you know, now the train driver's disappeared and they've got nowhere to go, and it's the end of the line, like literally the end of the line. I was like, okay, this like a metaphor for like trying to fight against the inevitability of death, and, you know, all kind of fight against the depression. But then like they get out and then they just walk somewhere else, and then like it's not like this beautiful like weird thing anymore. It's like a physical, oh, I guess I just rode the train for a bit and got off.
That's exactly what happens, you know.
Yes,
like she gets off the train and she just runs back to everything they left.
Yeah, there's this battle between what's really happening and the kind of what I would call the poetry of the thing.
Yeah, the symbolism.
Yeah. I can see that.
No, yeah, absolutely. But one thing it does, I think, very well is like you were saying earlier, it's not outright scary. Say like Ju-on. Ju-on is fucking terrifying in places. It's got, I mean, the Ju-on has one of my favorite horror scares of all time, which is the sheet. And everyone who's seen Ju-on The Grudge knows which part I mean, because it's when you're a kid, you're scared, you hide under the sheet and you're safe, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, I remember the
noise under the sheet. That's fucking scary. And again, that feel, because that's kind of similar to Ju-on The Grudge in the sense where this thing kind of spreads out. Anyone that comes into contact with it is fucked. They are cursed, and this thing is going to kill them. It doesn't. It's nothing personal, kid, but it's just going to kill you because it's just it was created. It's when someone is killed, like such anger. They explain, don't they? It's like so much.
Yeah,
like,
it's about
hatred.
an actual like concentration of negative energy and emotion
creates
upon death that creates this curse.
Yeah, this thing just comes into being, and it will just kill. But while it doesn't really have any like outright really scary moments like that, I really enjoy. I love the creepier aspects of Kairo. Like the moment, obviously, you're saying the picture of the guy standing by his monitor, and then there's the picture of him in the monitor as well. I think one of my favorite moments is when one of the other characters gets a text message, and it just says "help me."
Yeah,
I think it says "help me," and then he opens the image, and it's that image. It's like, what? It's like that. Yeah, that's fucking creepy. Or the first time we actually see a ghost, and it's kind of like slow-mo running towards the character, and you can't see its face.
I love that. It's funny that you mentioned the Grudge, because the other part of Ju-on that really scared me, I remember the bit that you're talking about with the sheet. The other bit is at the end of the movie. I'm pretty sure there's just a constant long shot in the attic of her slowly coming towards the camera. That's one shot I remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I certainly remember it. It fucking scared me.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh god, it's like it's taking its time.
It's gradual. It's not in a rush, and you cannot look away. And that's one of the things I love about Japanese horror in general. Is just this idea that ghosts don't have to go boo. They don't have to jump out at you. They are slow, and they're going to get there in their own fucking good time, and you cannot look away. And that first ghost that we encounter, I forget the character's name, but he's the boss-ish of that place, because, like, they say the boss is okay afterwards, and he's, like, not. He's cold and everything. he goes over to the same apartment building, and he also discovers this door with the red tape.
Yeah,
like Tokyo is covered in red tape apparently, and you really don't want to wade through it because bad stuff.
Don't open those doors.
I guess they were referring to it as the Forbidden Room, weren't they?
Yeah, the Forbidden Room. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I quite like all these kind of because I quite like all the terms used. They're quite sufficiently spooky, especially the first time that Kawashima turns on his computer and it says, "Do you want to meet a ghost?"
Yeah,
like hot single ghosts in your area.
He's a bit of a newbie, so he's probably going to click. And I mean, that whole sequence is just deeply unsettling as well because it's all grainy and it looks, because it would be very poor quality. Webcams are so much better.
I think the whole film really benefits from the time era that it was made in, because nowadays you get these horror films and they try to put on a fake grain or whatever, and it's like nowadays it's just not buyable because everyone carries a super duper megapixel camera in their pocket. And but this is the kind of grain that is so old fashioned and of that time that you can kind of just stare into it and it makes shapes, things appear in it. And there are quite a few shots in this movie that are lingering shots of just a still camera, but there's movement in the frame because of all these kind of pixelated elements, and you're just kind of trying to make sense of this shit. What am I looking at? Yeah,
and one of the creepiest shots, I think it's just the man is just sat down just looking at the camera. So it's just really creepy, isn't it? It's it doesn't have to be a big orchestral jump scare, a thing like croaking as it comes to it. It's just because you're trying to figure out why is this happening? Why are they just why has the guy got a bin bag on his head? And why is he shooting himself? And there's some really good uses of the technology. We're getting ahead a bit. Obviously, there's you've saying about the train ride. Another great moment I think happens just after that, when the character Kawashima's with does go back to her apartment and she's printing off the instructions for the red tape. It's do this and do, and then all the screens of the people she's watching just turn off, and then she realizes that, and then it switches to some her door opens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then all of the screens turn to something watching her, which is that's fucking great. I need more shit like that, because that is fucking scary. I'd be running out there my ass was on fire. I'd say it's oh, I'm gone. If I was streaming and all of a sudden my game footage just switched to a camera feed behind me, cool, right, I'm going to see you guys all later. I wouldn't even look behind me, just take the headphones off and I'd just leave. I'd be I'm going. I won't look around.
And in the American version of this, not the actual American version of this film, but I mean it kind of in a literal sense, the American version of this film would have her walk in there and bam, she disappears, or she gets grabbed, or disappears. Yeah. And you just don't get that.
Yeah, or she goes in and it's all dark, she doesn't turn the light on. She's oh, nothing's here. She turns around and loads of ghost arms come out and they drag her out, and the door slams, and you get the violin playing. It's oh god, the thing happened, whereas don't see what happens to her, and that's sometimes that's just scary. Cause you're did it get to her? Did she leave? Did they get away? And we get moments like that with other characters.
We'll talk about her fate later, but it's so interesting. I don't know what happened. None of us know what happened.
Yeah, and it's when you find out, we'll get to it later, but when you find out just what it is that the ghosts are doing, I think the idea of what they're doing to people is quite frightening, because it's brought on purely by spite. They do it, it's almost like they do it out of spite. It's not because they're evil and, yes, I want souls for Lord Fergnar, or anything like this. It's no, fuck you guys, because you're alive and you're not alive. Fuck you. It's all right, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And why did you get to be alive? Yeah.
And we're going to be alone forever, so you can have some of that.
Yeah, it's selfish and spiteful. And it's that's quite frightening, because you can't reason with that. Can be bargained with.
Wasn't it revealed in the middle of the movie when it's one of the parts that made me laugh so much because of how weirdly it was played off? Because there's the graduate student who created that fun Windows 95 screensaver that everyone was dazzled by.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Point. They never meet. But if they do, they die.
Yeah.
That's what the screensaver was. I'm like, well, if they never meet, there's no fear of them dying, right? But I mean, it could be a translation error. Anyway, my point is, graduate student sits Kawashima down and was like, you see them, don't you?
Oh, that's great, yeah.
Kawashima's like, yeah? Like, go chase after him. Like, fucking go chase him. There's a person in the library. Let's go run after somebody in the library. That's how you get arrested.
He does it,
But no,
Kawashima.
Yeah, but he does it. He runs over there, and then the person's not there anymore because it was a ghost. And the graduate student, this is like the only real plot dump in the movie when he just like slams it all in front of you. It's like ghosts, when they die, there's a point where like storage space in the afterlife gets to run out, and so they don't really go anywhere. They're really alone, and they just sort of appear around and like, okay, I guess that's what's happening here. But then where are the physical forms? Anyway, I'm not trying to get too far into that. But that graduate student really stood out to me because of how fucking he was about it the whole time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He did seem a bit kind of jarring with his... Because he, just as quickly as he appeared in the movie, he disappeared again. And it was kind of like he was just there to kind of plant that idea of hell's full, so now ghosties need the cloud, I guess.
In the film's defense, he does make a point of saying it's just a theory he has, which I think it's purely there to give the audience like something to maybe hang on to, like, oh, maybe it is this, but it might not be that either. But yeah, he does disappear quite shortly after, so maybe he knew more than he should, so they killed him. I'm pretty sure he's wearing red a lot as well, so maybe he's safe. That's actually the sequels, the direct-to-DVD sequels, the remake. There's a guy walking around wearing all red, and it keeps him safe.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, because the red...
making up a bit. That's real.
Yeah, he's a character in the sequels to the remake, and he has no payoff. Because of course he doesn't. Because they were just like, yeah, red tape's a guy in red, and he'll be safe. What's his character do? Don't fucking know, but it looks cool, so we'll put it.
Someone wearing red clothes just can't be miserable.
Yeah,
can't be miserable.
It's just too much fun.
And also because like in the original, it just feels like taping up places like just delays it, because they eventually get out anyway. Because later on a door just opens. So I feel like the red tape just weakens them for a certain amount of time, maybe.
There are things that happen, like Chris was saying. There are things that happen that kind of like the bit of my brain that's paying attention to the themes and stuff wants to kick in and explain, oh, this is a metaphor. So like stealing the stuff away in a room with tape kind of, to me, says, I've seen too much and I'm trying to get on with my life and pretend that I haven't seen my inevitable death or something, right? So it's kind of like it's putting stuff away, hiding it, trying to live in denial of it. And the fact that these people can't do that, it doesn't escape them. It catches up to them eventually. But like, what is the actual reason that you're taping a room shut?
Probably. Let me
I get it's a metaphor, but what's the reason?
The color red.
The reason, as far as red tape, there's no particular reason, except that I think that the Japanese culturally are a bit on the superstitious side, and maybe red is a color over there that means something different from what we understand it. But obviously, taping up the door is supposed to just be like, that's now the Forbidden Room. And the Forbidden Room seems to expand to all rooms everywhere in this movie. Because I remember when you guys brought that up just a little while ago, I was like, Forbidden Room. Yeah, they mentioned that a lot. And I was like, there never was a Forbidden Room. But there are plenty of rooms that are taped up. And as far as them getting out anyway, I thought that was like somebody was just always pulling the tape off. Like, what the hell? Why is this tape here? And they open it up, and of course that lets whatever is in out. And that's how it just keeps spreading because somebody keeps fucking it up.
Yeah, because of the three main people at the beginning, the two ladies and the guy, one lady is the one who gets all the way to the end. The other lady is the one who kills herself because she went into the Forbidden Room and saw it, and that Forbidden Room is the one that she went to. Is it Miguchi or Taguchi? You know, the guy from the start who killed himself.
Yeah, I think it's Taguchi. Yeah, Taguchi.
Yeah, because the guy went to that apartment. He went to the basement, the red room, and he saw the ghost, and he became depressed, and he turned into a smear on the wall.
Yeah.
The other lady, she also saw that forbidden room, but with Kawashima, his forbidden room was in that kind of abandoned factory.
Yeah.
So I think there are just lots of them, and it's spreading. The idea is that it's kind of like a disease that's spreading through the population.
Yeah, they can get through any like electronic device almost, like they're using it like a conduit. Because I think that if I can look up the trivia page on IMDb, which is unfortunately very small, the Japanese title written in kanji means circuit. So yeah. See, I'm talking bollocks.
Well, no, trivia is very interesting because it does fill in a few of the gaps. Another thing I found out about the director, actually, Kurosawa, is that he was a sociology major. So actually, his bread and butter at university was to learn about people and relationships, and all of that kind of like filters the movie and adds this kind of extra layer to it. If you get what I mean, it's about people and connections.
That really does.
I would be interested to see he has another film called Cure, which was before this one. I'd be interested. He did all kinds of weird shit. Like he made movies, direct-to-video movies in the 80s and 90s that were like really dodgy, almost kind of like exploitation porno horror film things.
Yeah, I was looking into his back catalogue as well, but it looks like he just
made like a movie a year for like 10 years, or maybe even more than one a year.
I've heard really good things about Creepy as well, which is available on Amazon Prime. Apparently, like it's very highly regarded. It came out a few years ago, and it's all about like I think a resigned police officer who's or like a profile saying he's like a private investigator now or something. And yeah, because I was curious about the director's other films. So obviously, it seems like Pulse, Kairo, whatever we call it, seems to still have quite a strong following. And yeah, I was looking up Creepy, and it got like rave reviews. It's classed as like a Japanese horror thriller. So yeah, I definitely want to check out more of his horror work because he has a good eye for it. And it's more obviously more unease and just more kind of not oppressive, but it's not the prototypical. When you think of like Japanese horror, you think of, unfortunately, you just do because it was so popular. You think of The Ring, you think of The Grudge. Whereas this is a bit more. There's just something underlying unease, and it's just unsettling in places. I think that's probably why when it was remade, they're like, no, the ghosts have to like be more in your face and doing things. You have to see them actively like draining the life force out of them, draining the hope out of them, which you do, and there has to be like a big spider one that falls out of a washing machine because creepy.
It's like Ringu and Ringu 2 and
Pingu3,
The Grudge, etc. All of those things are. Well, no, I think it was called Ring Zero, wasn't it? Or something. The third one, it was a prequel.
And then
it's been ages since I saw them.
Yeah, then there's a crossover with The Grudge where it's the two ghosts.
I haven't seen that yet. That sounds incredibly dumb.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna get it.
But those strike me as movies that are more overt horror movies. They are more about here is a curse, and this is about the curse. This movie there's a curse, but it's more about the people that it happens to, rather than what the curse is. I mean, they do the explanation, but they also throw in maybe it's just theory, who knows. They kind of do here's how it started with one phone line in a destroyed building or something. But at the same time, the Forbidden Room can be anywhere and everywhere. So, like, it's more about the effect it's having on people rather than the thing itself. While Ringu and Grudge seem more about the thing itself. And people are just collateral in that thing's revenge.
Exactly. It's just like, it's no one's fault. It's just happening. It's like I said about The Grudge. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
That's the thing that always makes me laugh about The Ring, though, is that they tried to fix it, and she's just like, nope.
Yeah. You can't do it. You can delay it, but it's going to happen. I'm sorry. It's like, again, it's actually kind of in a sense like it follows, where it's like, yeah, cool, you delayed it. You're not stopping it. It will.
Yeah, but We came up with the whole having an international business and flying all over the world just to keep that person walking from one corner of the world to the next, and never ever actually catching up to you at all.
That's the sequel we need to see. I wasn't going mad. Here it is: Sadako versus Kayako.
Yep.
How's it end?
Grudge match of the century.
It ends with a character menacingly contorting their body, imitating the movements of both Sadako and Kayako. They're the super.
Hybrid.
God, that sounds so.
It sounds so dumb. And my next choice for the podcast is.
What are they do?
Well, it's not your turn. It's my next choice for the podcast.
But like, these two things would just like slowly move towards each other, going and just walk in. So how are they going to fight? They just keep like bumping against each other.
At this point, your only hope is that they both just kill each other. Fighting over
How?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, back to less silly.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up. You said that he does some good work, and I want to say the one major positive I have about the movie, and the reason I would watch the movie again with somebody who wanted to watch the movie, with the plane crash. You know,
great.
The plane crash. Well, yeah, it was shot really well, but I just take that for granted. I assume that anyone who's going to make a movie is going to make things look good, so it just looks good to me by default. But the fact that like. It's very subtly expressed in the movie that this is happening all through Tokyo. And it's not just these people. It's everywhere simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So Tokyo is being emptied of people. And that's really clever. Where the horror is to me. It's like, oh, shit. You know, you just go out and there's nobody there. There's nobody there, and they've all been snatched away or digitized or whatever it is the ghosts are doing to these things. To people, and there's nowhere to go. Hopefully it's not just Tokyo, hopefully it is just Tokyo, and that they can like abandon the city and go across the ocean to another country and just be like fine now. whatever country of port, whatever country they get to, country's like, well, where are you from? Oh, we're from Japan. Okay, hello Japan.
Hello. What's going on over there with all your secrets?
We heard no one can be depressed in South America, so we've sailed here.
Everyone's too happy. Hey, what are you doing?
But going back to what you were saying, it's really cleverly done, because there is one shot with Kawashima earlier on in the movie where he's in a arcade hall with lots of machines, and there are quite a few people about playing, and then later on he returns to the same place and there is no one, and it's just like that general filtering out of people. Yeah. And then that's kind of underlined later on with that radio broadcast where it's like blah 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 missing, blah blah blah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you're like fucking, and it's even darker. It's like we're watching like fucking hell. That's a lot of children as well. I'm like Jesus Christ, like Toriyama 8. I'm like Jesus Christ. Like, this
He's seen some shit on the internet.
Let's go suck, man, dickheads. But yeah, but the things that you were saying about the plane crash, because that's while the effect is a little, looks a bit dated now. I think it's a great moment because, I think either I spotted it. I think it's on I think when they're listening to the radio, it's mentioned it's not a Japanese plane; it's a U.S. Army transport plane.
Oh,
yeah, you were saying this to me before the cast, and it's just like, oh.
And after that, it's just, oh fuck. This must be worldwide. Like this is bad. Like I think that's because it's so good. Because obviously you've got the gradual thing of less and less people. There's the train, no one at the arcade, all that less. It gradually less and less people, which is great. Which is because it's so, unless you're really looking for it, you probably won't notice it straight away. But it's that final moment where she's driving through the city is when it really kind of impacts you. That wow, this is fucked. Like there is barely anyone here. There's no one. And then the plane crashes. And like this is fucking hopeless. She's got to keep going.
I've got Jason's comment in the chat.
And then you Kawashima, and you go, she's got to keep going. Oh.
And like, yeah, sure. That's the one. Like, so the one good thing about Kawashima is his unending positivity, which I really liked how it was paid off. Like that was like one of the few setups and payoffs outside of the easing of the population throughout the movie. The fact that when he does actually engage with a ghost, he's like, I'll just catch you like the other ghost and you'll go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Horror Kawashima. Yeah, that's again. Yeah, that's it's up until the last moment. He's still like, no, fuck this. No, fuck you, fuck you. And I can't remember what it is that it says or does something, and it just clearly terrifies him, and he just can't.
Oh yeah, he just like that thing that they do in those movies where they get closer and closer.
It's like, you're gonna do what? It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh, you are.
The worst part is it's a. Even though you know it's a bad, scary ghost, you can't look away.
Yeah.
And that's the best bit about it. It's like it's this big dark shape, and it's coming closer, and you don't. God, please no! I don't want to see it, but I'm looking through my thing because I do want to see it. You want to see it, and also you want to make sure it doesn't move anywhere else. It's like how, because obviously I have arachnophobia, which we've spoken about before. I have that, and it's like, oh, there's a big spider there. Well, I'm not taking my eyes off it, because if I take my eyes off it, it's going to move, and I don't know where it is. But I don't want to look at it, but I have to. And again, it's kind of like, but it was also, but I kind of want to look. And what I love about that ghost in particular at the end is the fact that it looks like it's out of focus. Like, it looks like it alone is just out of focus. You can see that it's got facial features, but you can't really make them out. And that's far creepier. But then that's when obviously, I think that's when we find out exactly what's going on, really, isn't it? With the ghost, where it says, I think it outright just says to him that death was eternal loneliness. It's like, so now you're going to be lonely. Have fun. And I mean,
which is saying they're spiteful.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I've got a plot thing.
Yeah, because it's like that's the major thing for me, and I know it's a Japanese movie, so we can just take just about everything as just as an expression of art, which is fine. Like I said, it's a different culture. It's not wrong. It's just not what I'm used to, and it's hard for me to break it down from this side of the pond, considering I'm not saturated in their kind of movies. But like the deaths, like the suicides, I would understand, because depression is a terrible thing. It's a crushing, lonely feeling. You feel like just like nothing could ever go right, and you might as well hurry it along and all that kind of stuff. If they had just kept it with that, it's fine. But then there's like that moment when I can't remember her name, but the lady who saw the forbidden room and then went back with her roommate. Her roommate tried to care for her for like a few days, and then she just sort of like turned into ash.
Yeah.
Junko? It's Junko.
Yeah, I think
Junko,
so.
Yes, that's it. That's her name.
At first I thought
wanted to say Miku.
At first I thought it was the lady she saw jump to her death. But I was like, oh my god, that's Junko. But no, it wasn't.
Oh, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, we will talk about that shot at some point, yeah.
But go on, Chris.
But when they just start and then they're gone, like you can now breathe them because their atomic level dissipated. It's like, what happened there? Did the ghost just have the ability to just disintegrate people? This is weird to me. I liked the suicide aspect because at least that was a physical thing would happen, like with the telephone wire in the very beginning. Which, by the way, that was a pretty damn visceral shot.
That was
the way that guy killed himself. Like, he didn't even hang. He just slouched.
Yeah.
He didn't have the elevation to do it, so he just like made sure it was tight, and then he just like squatted down until it killed him.
Yeah, we were talking because I watched it with Kitty and our housemate Brett, and we were just like, Jesus, like, yeah, he's just sunk into that willingly, like, fucking hell. That's quite dark. It's like, that's a hell of a way to start a film. Shit.
And the beautiful contrast of him being like, hey, just help yourself to that disc. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm just, that's the one. Yeah, that's, yep. Nope. No. Yeah, that's, yeah. There you go. No worries.
Make sure you got it before I'm gone. It's my last task on Earth. I'm really sad.
Yeah, I can see, like, I understand the whole kind of like struggling with the physical aspect of what is going on. But
yeah,
like, I was totally in metaphorical land watching that scene. So like when Jinko said, like, she almost rallied, like she looked a bit brighter. And that to me was like, that's so indicative of people who have struggles with depression and eventually go on to commit suicide. They almost kind of rally for a moment because they've made a decision. And it's almost like she was just sounding off that last decision before she made it. I guess like they can just decide to, evaporate into stains on the wall, which is really inconsiderate if it's someone else's apartment, by the way.
I know, right? And then you've got that stain,
You're gonna lose.
and it's going to scare the shit out of you every time you come in. The lights are low.
And they lose a deposit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can't clean that shit off.
Black mold, and it's black mold. That's really bad for you.
That's right.
But because I think, I think the reason they disappear is because they've, like you're saying, they've made the decision. It's like, yeah, I'm done. Like they've just decided to give up, and that's. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like, it's like, why do they disappear?
This is
Like, I mean, why is that what happens?
Yeah,
as opposed to like just continue with the suicide thing. You know, like
to make it,
there was a blowing curtain situation. She could have just hopped out of the apartment.
Yeah,
you know, and they didn't even have to film the grotesquerie. Just like out and then leave the camera there because that we know it happened. They didn't fly away like Superman.
Yeah. I'm wondering if maybe it was to make it not less violent, but less about because I mean, either it was metaphorical or because even after the guy at the very beginning, Taguchi, like hangs himself when someone goes to his apartment, there is the outline is actually still there. So maybe they do actually kill themselves, like they do actually just and then it just leaves that behind. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just an artistic thing, or the director was like, if we just keep doing it, it'll be too violent. I don't not violent, but gratuitous, maybe.
Yeah, too many like on-screen suicide kind of things.
Yeah, might be.
I mean,
much.
the suicides always lead into the stain on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. So as Junko, maybe what it was, she like died of like a broken heart kind of thing. You know, one of those things where they really do give up and their body gives up. And that was the suicide, instead of it just being a magical deconstruction.
Yeah.
And then we just sort of like, since the wind happened to be blowing, we're going to just throw it all around and make it the most beautiful piece of film I've ever filmed. American Beauty. Okay.
But like, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it also leads on to then, Kawashima's girlfriend, who he would like to be his girlfriend.
Yeah, she's a lecturer, isn't she, I think?
Yeah, or like either that or she's like a grad, like higher level student or something. I can't remember, but it's almost implied it's her computer class. He has to walk out because it's starting, but I don't know. Anyway, like she doesn't die when she walks into that room.
No,
but she does embrace the ghost, I guess. Whatever is there.
Yeah, she was like obsessed with death.
She was obsessed with the idea of loneliness and the fact that like she said, like, I come from a family that like are irrelevant, that they don't matter to me. And like everyone talks about death, like you'll get to see all your loved ones on the other side. And she said, what will it be like for me? Will I just be lonely because there's no one? So it's almost like she embraces it because she will be not alone in her loneliness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then she doesn't die there. She dies later on in some factory randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she actually does commit suicide visually.
Yep. Like, she just, like, nothing fancy. Like, just, nope, done, bang.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird, isn't it? Yeah. And then, like, I mean, obviously that is what leads Kawashima to enter his forbidden room, and even his unending optimism can't win out in the face of it.
I was so sad. He held out for a long time afterwards, though. I'll give him that, but I was so sad. Yeah, I was so sad. I was like, oh, I was like, don't. With the three of us, we just scream at the TV, don't go in the room, don't do it.
I know, right?
Kawashima, don't do it. But again, it's like you were saying, Tom, that I've got to go and have a look. I know I shouldn't, but I kind of want to. Yeah, I think I should. I just poke my head. It's that curiosity. Like you're saying, the ghost has come towards you. Don't look at it, but you kind of want to. You kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
Special mention. I don't really want to go any further with this, but special mention, by the way, to the lady doing that long walk towards the couch.
Oh,
with that like
slow. Yeah, it's like she's
slow
running
dance
slowly
kind of thing. Oh, I loved it.
Right.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I love that kind of thing. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But it's like, we're going to be at this for 45 seconds. Are you just going to walk all the way to the camera? And then she just goes,
yeah,
you
it's
know, and
like
I'm like,
a slow running. It's like a weird, like it's just weird. It's just very fucking
it's
bizarre.
weird. Yeah,
Like,
it's
you wouldn't be able to
unsettling.
take
The
your eyes
whole
off
thing.
it, and you would be creeped out if, like, if you were in a room that was empty and you turn around and someone was just all of a sudden there, you couldn't make out a face, and they just start acting like that. What the fuck? I'd be
I'm
creeped out.
throwing the couch at her.
I mean, unfortunately for I don't know if it was Toshio, but he was a bit stringy, so you ain't getting that couch.
Well, it's just like Dark Souls, right? You have to be honest with yourself. You have to adapt to your strengths. You get the biggest weapon. If you're a strength guy, get the biggest weapon you can get, and you just...
He should have been doing his dodge rolls. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, it's also like the end of Last of Us 2 for me. Like, there was this one lawn chair around the pool that I just constantly was using as cover. I just hugged this thing.
It was a worthy lawn chair for sure.
I take it
Certainly blessed by Lord Brick.
Yeah. So I guess we're kind of wrapping up the plot, really. I mean, we've been all over the place, but there's so many things to kind of like touch on. I mean, one thing I would like to return to actually is that shot we were talking about, where the long unbroken shot where the woman jumps from the scaffolding. Like,
yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was kind of guttural in the kind of like the finality of the flump and everything. But like, also I was sat there as like someone who's like an amateur filmmaker has watched a few films. I was like, how did they do that?
Yeah, we were.
It was like one unbroken shot. I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah, there wasn't a moment of like she doesn't pass like by something else that's just like in the foreground and then hit the three of us again. Were like that would look fucking great. Like just saying there's a person just throw themselves to the dirt, definitely going, that looks fantastic.
Bravo.
Yeah. But before we get to how they, because I have the trivia page up, before we get to how they shot that, I just realised something actually, because it's all about loneliness and how people are quite shut off from each other, and that continues to happen. After she jumps, obviously, our secondary main character, Michi, is the first to react to it because she watches it, and then I realised that people start to kind of filter out very slowly. Like there's not like a big gathering, and it's almost like shows that people aren't very connected. But when we get to the way it was shot, where is it? So the shot of a woman leaping off the side of a building is a relatively simple combination of careful editing, computer graphics, and stunt work. As the director explains it, a stunt woman was filmed bungee jumping off the rooftop, followed by a dummy dressed in the same clothes. The two shots were edited together and the bungee cord digitally erased, which must mean that they filmed it twice and they filmed it fucking precise. Like, it had to be fucking the same location. Because does the camera pan down with her?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah, so they would have had to like shoot that twice. They'd have to time it.
Yeah, either an automated camera movement that they could like replicate multiple times, or it was just done by eye. If it was done by eye, it's insane.
I would believe a cameraman in Japan could do that shit by eye. I would totally believe that.
Yeah, you just practice it when it's all about time.
Way of the camera guy.
Yeah, the camera samurai. Oh, that sounds badass. Actually, that's a film I'd watch. So he'd be a Ronin if he was a wandering samurai. A Ronin, yes, a Ronin cameraman. Cameraman with no master.
Yeah, we're Ronin. We're Ronin.
Oh.
Ronin camera.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, that's I think that's the best effect in the movie, like visual effect.
Yeah, it was superb. Like I said before, I usually just go, yeah, it's fine, but that was perfect from what I could see.
It's a really, really good shot. It's a really good effect as well. And that's one thing. Like it's not an effect heavy film, and when it brings out the effects, it feels like a bigger moment, like driving around the city because it's set in Tokyo, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So when she's actually driving around and Michi is driving around Tokyo, that's when they bring most of the like special effects out, and it makes it more impactful. And I was just thinking again actually about how we all said it was quite shocking when Haru, when she does shoot herself in the factory, and it's very brutal, very cold, and very shocking, like as it would be, because it's very sudden. I'm wondering then if that's why most people did, like in the film, do just disappear into ash or mold or whatever, because then when we do see a character actively kill themselves, it is more shocking, because I think we only see 3 characters actively commit suicide, because obviously we see Taguchi at the very beginning when he hangs himself. Well, we see him after he's hung himself. The woman who throws herself off of the building, and then Haru who shoots herself. I think they're the only 3 we actually see commit suicide. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why it was done in that way so that it keeps the act of suicide shocking. Because I suppose that then, I mean, I could be talking absolute bollocks, and it could not be the case. But then the way I think about it is because a lot of characters die, if we see all of them commit suicide in some way, it might lessen the impact of someone just shooting themselves.
In pulling the punches in certain places, it makes the ones they do use land.
Yeah, because when Haru shoots herself, it is so, because it would be in real life. It's very sudden. It's like it's just over. Like she just pulled that trigger back, and everything she would have been has just disappeared. It's gone. That person is just dead. They've just disappeared now. I really liked this film. I really did. I think I want to watch it again at some point. I think it might be something that benefits from multiple viewings, because it feels like a film that I would have fun watching the background to get little tidbits, like see if there's anything I missed, any little subtle hints of like people disappearing. And
I feel you pick up
I would say it's got a lot to offer somebody who studies film, for sure.
Yeah,
that's definitely a positive. Obviously,
my studies bone just like kicked into gear like the second I started watching it.
It's good. And
I'm not even sure where to point on the Discord to get pointing at Garlips, but yeah, I was referring to Garlips earlier about somebody who really enjoys film study stuff.
I think another strength I think is that despite it having that overarching feeling of hopelessness and inevitability, which, like we were saying, a lot of really good Japanese horror does. Obviously, there's a lot of Western horror that does that as well, like the George Romero's Trilogy of the Dead, where Day in particular feels Day of the Dead is very depressing, because you get this sense early on that these characters are the last people alive. It's like it's over. It's like, no, there's even a line in the film: we lost. It's done. Like the time to kill these things would have been at the beginning, but we didn't, and now they are the dominant. There's too many of them. It's over. But even despite that, there's still the ending is 3 characters that manage to. I'll wait for him to come back. The ending has 3 characters that manage to escape and just living the rest of their lives on, it looks like, a tropical island. So obviously it's depressing because civilization's done. We've lost. Humanity has lost. But some people have survived, and they're doing okay. So there's like that little bit of hope at the end, similar to like Dawn of the Dead as well. Dawn of the Dead which had a way darker ending where both characters just killed themselves, and the credits would roll over, the helicopter blades just spinning, and when the credits finished, the helicopter would just sputter out and stop. And you're like, oh, they wouldn't have got far anyway. Oh, great. But then they were riding it and went, no, let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
But even despite the hopelessness and inevitability in Cairo, in Pulse, there's still that little bit, small modicum of hope that's like, yeah, there's some people on the boat, they're going to Latin America, maybe they'll be okay. Because it's like, maybe they're right. And even though poor old Kawashima has given up and died, and he's disintegrated, and he's in the same room as Michi, despite that, she seems quite upbeat, because she's saying, no, I'm still with him. I'm alone with my last friend in the world. It's like, he's still here with me.
I think what's her name? Michi?
Michi, yeah.
Yeah. She kind of like, she comes to a sort of a closure that I guess a lot of the other characters don't. They kind of wither away into melancholia, but like she somehow manages to pull a positive from it, and maybe that's what's keeping her alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote here, like in my notes, I've highlighted in capital letters, Can Kawashima's eternal optimism stand true in the face of acknowledging death? No. No. Was the answer to that question.
Yeah.
But she somehow manages to pull some kind of positive out of it. Aside from that banging credits tune, which felt really out of place for me personally. I was like, cool music. What the fuck is it doing here?
Like, this movie's depressing as shit. What's going on?
But like, maybe that is the kind of looking through the metaphorical lens, is that like, it's about coming to a conclusion or a closure that can, be moved on from. That there's kind of there's hope or for the optimism for the future, despite knowing about inevitability and loss and death. I think maybe, who knows?
Who knows, right?
Who knows?
There's definitely a lot to think about as far as this movie goes, because that's basically Japanese horror. Though at the end of watching it, I realized that like I thought The Grudge did it first. Or maybe Ju-on, I should say, where everyone dies. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool, because almost every horror movie is like, someone survives and they kill the ghost. And it's like, we'll do a sequel. And then that person comes back and, such and such until like 900 movies are made. Yep. But The Grudge just, no, fuck that. We're just going to kill everybody. Our ghost can't be killed. It's perfect. It's a perfect killing machine, and it's fine. And I thought that was really cool.
You're going to hit with a baseball bat? No, you're not.
Yeah, right? And Grudge 2, like the curse goes to an apartment building. The whole thing is really cool. But with this movie, I realized maybe all Japanese horror movies are like this. Kind of like how we have slasher flicks in America where they're all the fucking same. Some grotesque man dude with a fucking machetes chopping into teenagers like that. Like it's going out of style. And, you don't really see that so much in Japanese horror movies, but in Japanese horror movies, the ones that we've seen, it's almost always a spirit kills everybody. So, like, if I was Japanese, would I be like, this is the same fucking thing?
Yeah, this dreamy fucking metaphorical bullshit again. Give me, like, a stabber.
Yeah, whereas we're like, oh, God, Friday the 13th part, what?
Right.
I don't know, maybe. I think
it's a good question. I mean, I would like to watch more Japanese horror films to see if that is let's continue this thesis.
Yeah, I think we should. It's not a bad way to go. And I think like definitely finding like original ones, or maybe it's just because these ones stand out to us because they're so unconventional compared to the horror that we're used to in the West. Maybe there aren't that many of the films like this.
Without making anybody sad, there is one other Japanese horror film I've seen before that I definitely will do on this podcast at one point in the future. And it's fucking weird, dreamy, everyone dies kind of thing. So maybe there's something in what Chris is saying.
Is it the one set in the hospital?
No.
There's one that I know of that's set in a hospital.
If you've seen it, you'll know what it is. But if you haven't, I'm not going to spoil it. It's called Tetsuo the Iron Man.
I know of it. And I know it's...
And guess where I saw it? In good old film studies, A-level.
I know it's really fucking weird.
Yeah, it's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Does it have like a big-headed lady and like a mine shaft kind of thing? No?
No.
I've seen a clip of a Japanese horror movie where these teenagers are being chased by like some monster with a big human head.
I think I know the movie you're talking about, and it is one I would love to watch for the podcast. Are you talking about House?
I guess. Fuck, I don't know.
There's a Japanese horror film from the 70s called House, and it looks really fucking batshit awesome.
You're not thinking of Sweet Home, are you?
No, I'm not thinking of Sweet Home. Sweet Home is another thing we might want to cover. House is a 1977 film. If you Google it, you will you'll see some cool shit because there's like this weird evil dog cat thing that like pukes blood or something. Yeah, I'm saying all the right words, right?
Yes.
Cat, puke, death. But yeah, House is another movie that I would definitely like to cover at some point on the podcast. I've never seen it before, so I'm saving it for the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen the images from this. Yes.
Yeah, it's really dreamy and surreal. Like a lot of the backgrounds are like hand painted, like scenes and stuff. It like the whole thing is very surreal. It's got lots of surreal imagery.
Yeah. When you said 70s, I was like, no, that's not the movie I'm talking about, because the movie I'm talking about involves some CGI to make what happens happen. So
then it
wouldn't
can't be
have been
Tetsuo
70s.
either. Without telling you guys too much about Tetsuo, it's kind of inspired by Eraserhead. It's black and white, it's arty as fuck, and it's about this guy who's slowly going insane and turning into a metal man. And then he meets with a rival metal man, and they form a man love tank and take over the world.
I need to see this.
Tetsuo the Iron Man. I've not seen the second one actually. I bet that's equally bad shit.
The Bullet Man, isn't it?
Unsure. Would have to Google.
Tetsuo 2 Body Hammer.
Body Hammer, that's it. Yeah, not seen that one.
Right on.
But basically, they were released under a film label called Tartan Asian Extreme. So like basically, like if you see that label, it's like, okay, we're in for some shit. I think Audition was also like distributed by that label. Audition is the one thing for the podcast. I was like, do I pick this for the podcast? No.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. You guys never seen Audition?
No, I'm going to be. Someone wants me to review it. So.
Okay, good luck. It's hard going.
Ooh, awesome.
You know, like I said, like I would never pick like things for the podcast, and if you guys picked it, I would tell you to fuck off, like a Serbian film. Audition is like right on that line. It's fucked up. If you read the Wikipedia like summary, you'd be like, "Oh, great!
How the fuck am I going to review that if it's that bad? How am I going to get it on YouTube?"
Well, I'll tell you what. If you're using footage, you'll only be using footage from the first half. Let's put it that way.
No. Oh, okay.
I watched a lot of this shit back in my like Edgelord days, and I'm not Edgelord anymore. And revisiting some of them would probably be upsetting for me now. I think because I'm a different person nowadays.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious to see this now.
Like,
well, I mean,
there are all kinds of films like Ichi the Killer.
That's another one.
Yeah,
the
director of that, Takashi Miike, he also directed, what was that movie called? There's a movie with a cow that, and he was sucking the udders of a cow.
Tom Green.
what Takashi Miike's movie was that?
The fucking Tom Green movie did that.
Oh, Takashi Miike also did Audition. So,
or is it a TV show? I don't watch him.
Yeah, I think it's another one of his films I've been asked to review. Actually, I think.
Yeah, he did Audition, so that would give you an idea of what Takashi Miike is like.
I can't remember the other name of the film, but I've got it written somewhere. Fantastic.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm just going to say,
Gozu is the name of the film with the cow in it. By the way,
we are a little over time. So
yes. Okay. Enough with the crazy Asian films.
Yes. Should we quickly have a quick look at the American remake of Pulse? I have the Wikipedia article up. It's very short.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen some clips.
Right. When Josh Ockman, Jonathan Tucker, enters a dark university library intended to meet his friend Douglas Ziegler, Kel O'Neill, he is attacked by a humanoid spirit that sucks the life force out of him. We're already off to a bad start. Some days later, Josh's girlfriend, Matty Webber, Kristen Bell, why is she in this?
I know, she looks so young in it.
Visits his apartment, seeing evidence that it has not been well kept. Josh tells Matty to wait in the kitchen while he walks off. While waiting, she finds Josh's pet cat locked in a closet and dying from severe malnutrition. But when she rushes to tell him, she finds that he has committed suicide by hanging himself with an internet cable.
Got him.
Yeah, they've already like revealed too much in the open, like outright showing the ghost doing it straight away. What a way to destroy any kind of tension or mystery.
Literally, every time you say American Pulse, in my head, I have this vision, because apparently there's like this weird, angry, bald ghost screaming at Kristen Bell. Like there's a shot of him doing that, and that's just all that plays in my head.
Yep.
It's like it's been like aggressively color-coded blue.
Yeah, and it's got like an effect to it, so it looks like you're watching it through a CRT monitor. So all the ghosts have like those lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Okay, Matty and her friends begin to receive online messages from Josh asking for help, but assume that Josh's computer is still on and that a virus is creating the messages. Matty learns that Josh's computer has been sold to Dex McCarthy, Ian Somerhalder, who was Boone in Lost, who finds a number of strange videos on the computer. Matty receives a package that Josh mailed 2 days prior to his death. Inside are rolls of red tape and a message telling her that the tape keeps them out. See, how much better would that be if we hadn't already seen the ghosts and you see them? What's them? What are you talking about? Although he does not know why. Later, Dex visits Matty and shows her video messages that Josh was sending to Ziegler. Josh had hacked Ziegler's computer system and then distributed a virus. Why?
He took over the gigaflops and installed a.
Why did he do that?
Exorcist program.
Oh,
that infiltrated the terror.
Yeah, the Ethernet. Here we go. This is when what I was talking about earlier. This virus had unlocked. The virus did this. Had unlocked a portal that connected the realm of the living to the realm of the dead. So instead of it being just that this thing's happening because potentially there's too many souls and there's nowhere to go, which is a bit creepier, I think, and a bit more like just oppressive. It's a computer virus. How's a computer virus do it? Josh's counter program is found on the memory stick taped inside the PC case with red tape. Why? Why would you create a counter program and then put it in? Why would you not just use it?
Your problem here, Lost. You're trying to make sense of it.
Dex and Matty visit Ziegler and find his room is entirely plastered in red tape. They believe the red tape keeps the spirits out. Ziegler tells them of a project he worked on where he found frequencies no one ever knew existed. Opening these frequencies.
No one's ever heard of these frequencies.
Oh my goodness. Opening these frequencies somehow allowed the spirits to travel to the world of the living. So it wasn't the virus. Okay, so it was the frequencies. Okay, that makes no sense, but sure. Create a computer program did it. Ziegler also tells them that these spirits take away your will to live, which is outright just like hammering you over the head with it, and where to find the main server infected with the. So it's either the virus that did it, or you opened it up with frequencies. It can't be both. No,
it's everything at once.
Yeah,
it's a multi-threat.
Oh my god! Dex and Matty find the server and upload Josh's fix, causing the system to crash and the spirits to vanish. But
we won.
Okay, yeah.
America.
Oh, moments later, however, the system reboots and the spirits return. That's not how computers work, because if you get rid of the virus is gone. But sure, leaving Matty and Dex with no option but to flee the city by car. Over the car radio, Matty and Dex hear a report from the army announcing the location of several safe zones where there are no internet connections, cell phones, or televisions. That wouldn't make it safe, necessarily. As Dex and Matty drive to a safe zone, the film concludes with a voiceover from Matty saying, "We can never go back. The cities are theirs. Our lives are different now. What was meant to connect us to one another, instead, connected us to forces that we could never have imagined. The world we know is gone, but the will to live never dies. Not for us, and not for them."
Good job. Those frequencies are completely localized to metropolitan areas. Then.
Yeah, there's no such thing as satellites
around the atmosphere or shit like that.
Yeah, there's not. I think such things as like electrical fucking pylons. Clips of abandoned cities are shown, including a window of an apartment with Josh looking through it. But the people. Oh.
Just stop, Lost. Just stop.
That sounds so bad. I love it. It's like
America.
That makes you going. There are safe zones. You're using the car radio. You're using the car radio. That is they could come through that surely, because it's a frequency. So lame. I like it's a PC virus. They open up the dead world. How would a computer virus do that?
Ain't nothing to it. Just took my laptop out back, shot it between the eyes.
Goddamn laptop! You get out of here, boy! Get this technology out of my house, boy! I was like, come Amish. Say the Amish knew.
Get these high-fangled megabits out of my house!
Now, son, we don't talk about the gigabytes no more. It's like in the devil's words.
The devil's words. Oh well.
I love that. It's because that's the wonder about the Japanese version. There's only the theory that there's no space anymore, so they're just kind of pouring out. But then, even then, he says that if it doesn't he like say that if it wasn't electronics, it would have been something else. Like he basically says that his theory is that if it wasn't this, it would have been something else. Like this thing was coming, no matter what.
Full.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, fuck, that's scary, right? Like
It's
this
gotta
thing
go
shouldn't
somewhere.
happen. Yeah, it's like no computer viruses and frequencies. Like how?
If it weren't computers, it would be encyclopedias or
Yeah, like,
butterflies or something.
Toilets.
And I love it's like right. I've got a countermeasure. I'm gonna wrap it in red so it's safe, and then I'm gonna duct tape it inside my computer case. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work for later on in the film when I'm long dead. Wait, this doesn't really work, does it? Oh shit! Like, why would you do that?
They know what movie they're in. They just want to leave as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and it's not like because if he was depressed, then he wouldn't have done it anyway. Because it would have been stupid.
Just stop, Lost. Just stop.
It's done.
It's
They
done.
made two more.
Stop trying to make sense of it.
Okay.
It's done.
They made 2 more.
Oh god.
They also made the Bye Bye Man. I mean,
Oh.
the bar is like below the planet's crust into the fucking center of the earth. The bar is low. Okay.
Do you know which distribution company we have to blame for this as well? I'm not making it up. The Weinstein Company.
Oh, there we go. See?
Second worst thing Harvey Weinstein ever did.
Second worst thing. What the? No, I'm just joking. But you think that's the thing about horror movies, and I don't want to go too far in this because we're pretty much wrapping up. But you can make anything, and people will watch it. It always has an audience. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. I mean, so I'm just not surprised. That's what I'm saying. I'm just never going to be surprised. Oh, that worked? Of course it did. You know.
Oh, they made 2 sequels.
I mean, go ahead and look up Deathbed, the bed that eats people.
That has one great scene though. But my favorite scene in Deathbed is when
I'm just glad you know what I'm talking about because I thought that I made that up. I mean, no, I thought that Patton Oswalt made that up for his joke. So I just kept spouting it until someone would either confirm or deny it.
I've seen a lot of it, and one of my favorite moments in that is when I think it's the brother character, like the second main character, goes to he rescues his sister and pulls her out, but his hands get enveloped by the bed, and he pulls them out, and obviously, it's dissolved his hands, so it's like pure white bones. And there's this shot where she's like kind of like she's unconscious, she's laying on like they're both propped up against the wall, and he just sat there and he just goes, just sighs. I think it's the biggest inconvenience.
Oh, my hands! I use those.
Like just.
Fuck.
like you'd react if you accidentally like glued them. Like for fuck's sake, I've got glue all over my hands. You know?
Yeah, fucking glitter.
Yeah, like glitter bombs. Yeah, not. Oh, my hands are gone.
Right.
He takes it well, but yeah, Deathbed's great.
So.
Well, okay. So I guess that leads us on to next week's homework, which would usually be Chris's choice, but Chris's choice is going to go back into like the next podcast, because next time we record, we are going to be talking about this little game that's coming out next week.
You may have heard of
I think it's an indie developer, isn't it, that's making it?
Yeah. Comcap.
I believe
we're talking about Resident Evil 8.
Yes. We're going to go say hi to Miss Dimitrescu and see what's up.
Get murdered.
I've avoided all demos except the Maiden one, and I've not seen a trailer since Maiden either. Do you ever get these people that are like, why don't you watch the trailers or play the demos? You're like, why would I?
Because now, that's why. It's because now they have to have it now. Want all of it now. Want someone
It's like the demo.
Inject it in their brain as soon as possible.
Yeah, I saw the thing earlier for the demo, and it's like, the first 60 minutes. Like, 60 minutes? But it's out. 5 fucking days. and also, before we go, like, I hope Capcom never do this whole timed demo thing again. What a fucking pointless exercise in irritants that was. Like, what? Who?
Especially
why,
considering that most people will find a workaround immediately anyway.
Yeah, like, and also it's like, oh, but America get this time, and then other places get this time. Like, yes, but if I'm that desperate to see it, I will go on Twitch and watch someone playing it, or when they fucking upload their playthrough. Timed demos are stupid.
It's one of those things where, like, it goes for demos, it goes for game releases and editions of games. It's like, if you need a spreadsheet to explain it to me, fuck off. It should be, here's the thing, it comes out day.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you must, demo day.
Yeah, like, I saw people like posting the images, and it's just like, I was like, what the fuck is all this stuff?
It's like, if you want this edition, which comes with, like, the fanny pack and,
is it like
katanas.
Is that
an actual can of first aid spray?
Yeah, it's like, is that the release schedule for the Resident Evil 8 demos, or is that a better looking version of the Forbidden Siren 2 Navigator?
Yeah, or is that like the local, like, is that the menu at my local? I'm trying to work out what I'm going to order.
Something like, you know you're going to go for burger and chips, but you have to look like you're considering other things like...
Hi. Yes, I think I'll have the exact same fucking thing I always have.
Yeah. What are you having? Oh, maybe... I don't know. When you stand there with your hands on your hips like this, burger and chips, Stupid. Timed demos are a silly thing.
We will all enjoy the meal that is Resident Evil 8.
Yes.
And
I'd be so scared.
We might hate it. Who knows? I doubt it, but
it better be good. I'm
so
sure
we're all going to play that and then meet back here.
Yeah, we've got 2 weeks, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm basically going to try to play it midnight, or I guess it'd be after stream Thursday, so that I can get some of the content out of the way. And so when I stream it on Friday night, I won't, one, be spoiled immediately by whoever wants to come in and say, Dracula's at the end or something.
Yeah.
And, I can also have some idea of what I'm doing, because like the thing that I don't like watching streamers do, or even Let's Players, especially not Let's Players, is if they play a game, they have no idea what they're doing. Like they go in blind and raw and fresh. They don't do like even a 10-minute like fucking button check or something. so they're like, how do I open doors? It's like, fucking dude. You've recorded yourself wasting our time.
I mean, I'm guilty of going into games blind myself on streaming, but I feel like I pick stuff up quickly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why someone can do it, but
yeah, but
I've met too many people who can't.
And then they keep like throwing the bombs, like, stop throwing fucking grenades. But yeah, so yes, I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good weekend.
Can't believe it's actually coming out like this soon. Like,
yeah,
it feels too early now. I'm like, wait, no, put off another month, please.
Yeah, 4 days. And I'm sad because I got Returnal last week, and Returnal's really fucking good. And now I have to balance that and GTA 8. What the fuck? Resident Evil 8. Returnal's great, by the way. If anyone can play, everyone has the means to play Returnal, they should. It's really fun. I'm loving it.
It looks good.
I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I will enjoy it on PS Plus in a year and a half.
And support these developers.
I'll support the developers when someone supports me.
Your review counts.
Do you have any idea how much this stupid version of Resident Evil 8 with a plastic Chris has cost me?
I hope he's like this big.
Well, he's supposed to be as big as my Leon and Jill, so like.
He's gonna be like that though, so.
But I hope he's like, they showed a picture. I hope it's like him with the coat and proper looking, like just pissed off. God,
I hope so.
Like,
I mean, he's like big bulky Chris again, and his face is sunken, it's squashed, so it's looking like mine.
Does he come with a plastic boulder?
No.
A boulder punch in action.
I needed to have ordered the deluxe special awesome edition to get the.
You know what? Handcraft your own boulder and sell it on Etsy. For those of y'all who buy the collector's edition, here you can get a boulder.
Low key though,
I'm tempted to get a little rock he can hold now.
Low key, I'm hoping he punches a werewolf.
Oh, yeah, it's undoubted. He's gonna punch. He's got to punch.
Lamps it right in the face. Fuck off. Hi, Ethan. Sorry I shot your wife.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but I think I have a feeling that with that, because it looks like he's having like weird nightmares. I think it's going to be involved in that. Or she's like some kind of copy of something. They're like, oh, is Chris evil now? They're not going to just randomly turn one of their main characters evil like that, unless he's got a reason. Like
they'll turn him Resident Evil.
Oh.
We are going to move on to plugging of the things, and we're going to start with Lost in the Warp Pipe. Lost in the Warp Pipe, sir, what do you do?
I do many things, stuff and things, as Rick Grimes once said before he nearly died. Yes, I have lots of cool things coming out this week, actually. I've got Valheim tomorrow. I have Bloodborne on Wednesday, where I'm going to be using the Chikage, finally, against Wrongans, and probably die quite a lot. Friday, I will be doing Resident Evil 8, and Saturday, throughout most of the day, I will also be doing Resident Evil 8 before playing more Barrow Trauma on Sunday, which is... Barrow Trauma's great. Barrow Trauma's very good, especially on campaign mode. It's very stressful. And I'm playing the captain, so I get to give orders out to people. And get to yell at them when they are not manning the guns and keeping the ship safe that I spend my money on. Because I'm the one that has to spend money. I've also got a couple of videos in the pipeline, such as Astro Aqua Kitty, because I was given a review code for that. And Metal Gear Solid and Alien, all the other stuff I keep talking about. Also, next week is my 1 year anniversary on Twitch, so my regular schedule is getting thrown out the window for 1 week, and the whole week, all my slots are just going to be multiplayer games where people can join me and play silly things like Among Us, Barrow Trauma, Jackbox games, other silly things like Arma 3, Valheim, all the usual stuff, so people can join and we can all celebrate, and I'll give away games and stuff probably.
Cool.
Good.
And congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you. It's on Wednesday, actually, which is my main streaming slot, which is weird.
Oh.
Very weird. That's me.
Axton, sir. This way.
I stream. Name Axton1061 as spelled out everywhere on this stream here. I like the idea of doing YouTube, but I don't really have the time for it. So like streams are going to YouTube now. Because I don't really have any other way to make content for YouTube without spending a lot more time.
It's just free real estate. It's like, thanks, Google. Yeah. I'll just upload them, I guess.
So beyond that, it's just me and the Discord. We do on the streams, though. I do action games like Devil May Cry on Tuesdays. I do classic FPS games on Thursdays like Half-Life. And playing that on hard mode is a fucking ball buster. I don't recommend it at all. Friday is my horror night, which was actually my speedrun night, but with Resident Evil 8 coming out, that'll be on Friday. And then Saturday is my community fighting game night. We play Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7, Killer Instinct, Dragon Ball. We're playing Dead or Alive 6 this Saturday. And then Sunday is going to be my speedrun night instead, which is kind of earlier, somewhere around... I want it to be 3 p.m. Central, but it's probably going to be more like 7 p.m. Central because... I want to sleep sometime, and that's me.
It's good. I recommend it. I've been getting a bit more recently. Thank fuck, finally. I am Garlips. I stream stuff. I'm currently going to be doing this week Nier Replicant, which I'm a newbie to the Nier franchise. My brother bought it for me because he's a huge Nier fan. He's like, play it, I want your reactions. So... but I'm like the best fisherman in the fucking world, by the way, in Nier Replicant now. I'd struggled at the start, but now I catch everything. I just caught some sharks today off stream just to like do a submission for later, and yeah, I can catch sharks now with just a fucking fishing rod. So, what else am I going to be doing? I was going to be on Wednesday doing Dead Rising, but then this guy, this complete asshole called Axton1061, he caught up with me and overtook my speedrun record for Silent Hill 4. So, this Thursday, I'm going to be doing my last ever speedrun on PS3. Last week was supposed to be my last ever speedrun on PS3, but my PS3 cost me my fucking PB. So, we're going to try one more time. And then we'll probably be switching to PC once Resident Evil 8 comes out, after Resident Evil 8. Because Resident Evil 8 is my entire schedule once it comes out for a whole week and a half. Just every day, 6 till 12. So...
Fair.
yeah, we're going to complete it, and then I gather there's a mercenaries mode, so we're going to complete it a couple of times. We'll probably do mercenaries mode. We'll try and go for the trophies. Maybe, I mean, it took me a week to platinum Resident Evil 3. Maybe we can platinum Resident Evil 8. And also, I might be looking into some of the speed tech that's going on. I'm probably not going to run the game, but I'm going to be interested in watching that develop, like just to see what a new game coming out, what happens when the community runs it. And that's it. Just Resident Evil 8 all the time. So yeah.
Lots of Resident Evil 8.
Lots of Resident Evil 8, basically.
Yes.
Which is pretty good because our next podcast is on Resident Evil 8, so.
Wasn't that fortunate?
It worked out. But yeah, that all that remains to be said is thank you for watching our podcast today. Please go and enjoy Resident Evil 8, as we will, and we will be back here next time to talk about it. Take care, and thumbs up.
Yes.
See you all later.
Farewell.